Good evening everyone and welcome to the KTPF Community Show, live in the Hub, the online paranormal talk show brought to you by the Keeping the Paranormal Friendly community.
And in association with UK Shadow Seekers. My name is Suzanne.
And I'm Steve.
2007, the KTPF is a dedicated ongoing community which is not just there for when you're experiencing animosity from others. We welcome every paranormal investigator and enthusiast alike, including hobbyists, scientists and psychic mediums from around the globe, to join in as we cover this vast, fascinating subject, encouraging you to share information, advice and most importantly, friendship. Remember, collaboration, not competition.
Yeah, good evening ladies and gentlemen and welcome to the show. My name's Suzanne.
Hey, and I'm Steve.
And we're here tonight bringing you everything paranormal as much as we can. So, welcome to the show. And tonight's topic, we are going back to Demonology Part 2.
Yes.
We will also be touching on Ouija boards as well. So hopefully everybody can hear us in the chat room. Good evening, Ben. Nice to see you here again. Hope everything's all well in your household. And hopefully you'll enjoy the show tonight and be able to stay a bit longer than before. Hope you're well, UKSS. Thank you.
Yes, we are very well. And of course we have our resident experts, Mr. Neil Munnerley and Mr. Steve Mera.
Yes.
Welcome, guys.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's certainly nice to have a couple of hours of sunshine today. It reminds me of what summer used to be like, you know?
Well, this is it.
Well, that's definitely got to be paranormal, isn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah, when you see strange large yellow things in the sky, yeah.
So what have you been up to in the past week, Mr. Mera?
Oh, crikey, what haven't I been doing last week?
I've seen a photograph of you on Facebook as the Nutty Professor.
Yeah, that's a BBC TV series called Fright Nights, which is due to be start refilming again. We've already done some, travelling around the country to the most haunted, alleged haunted locations that we can find. Mm-hmm. But this is a show about the realism of the paranormal field, and what you see is what you get. In other words, no fakes, no hoaxes. What you see is exactly as it is, and it's great to have a TV show on there which isn't going to give you a load of rubbish, to tell you the truth, about the paranormal field.
No, this is
which is quite funny is that I'm actually playing. It's a realistic show, but I'm actually playing. I'm actually acting, so I've got an actual part as a bit of a parapsychological nutty professor type guy. Who's about twice my size and about 15 years older than me, and yeah, it's interesting.
So what we're actually saying is this program is not for entertainment purposes.
No, this program is not for entertainment purposes. No, you will not see a caption on it for entertainment purposes only. That's a definite. So,
yeah.
But apart from that, I've finished with the National Geographic Channel in regards Case Files. That should be screening over the next 3 months.
Yeah.
I've got another couple of projects on the go with Channel 4 and a TV documentary referred to as Paranormal Manchester. So they're on the go, but I've just got some work. I'm signing on to hopefully the Moore Show with the Kevin Moore Show, which is over the internet for TV and radio. They go out to about 10 different radio stations across the US, and of course doing my work for Planet X in Liverpool. So and the magazine and tutoring and lecturing, and when I get time, a bit of investigation and research and writing.
And a KTPF show.
Yeah, oh yes, of course, the KTPF show.
Mustn't forget the KTPF.
You know, do you know what?
Do you know
It's just I've so much to do. It's
yeah.
You know, I have to sort of split it up. But it's been a really, really busy week. Yeah.
Ben said he likes the Moore Show, so that'll be good.
Yeah, it is. It's a good show.
So you'll have to keep us informed so we can watch these things and see where they're coming from.
Well, the Moore Show's on TV. It's on Sky and Freeview once a week. I think it's on a Friday. Mm-hmm. I think. But it's also repeated 3 times a week as well. So.
Well, if it's on Sky, that's great because we live by Sky Plus.
Oh, well, you
and many times we've been on doing things, haven't we? And we get stuck in this room. It's not just radio work we do here, I must admit. It's not just KTPF work. We do quite a lot of stuff in this room, don't we?
Yes, we've got all the Shadow Seeker stuff to do, the organisation for the Invest and stuff, and then we have Mr. Neil Munnerley's psychic shows and that we all get involved in and keep everything going.
This is it.
But there's many a time we've actually managed to get down to the living room, turned Sky on and gone, oops, that's nearly full, we better start watching it.
But unfortunately, some of our programmes are not on anymore, so we haven't got many left to watch. Have we? You know,
we haven't,
Blue Bloods have gone, and CSI's gone,
and Bones, and
Bedlam.
It's all death and spirits. It really is.
Oh yeah, I tell you what. Sometimes I look at the programmes and I think I am just too wrapped up in Beyond Life.
Oh yeah.
You know, because I'm watching Bones and CSI.
It's all reality
and stuff like
TV
that.
shows now.
Oh.
You know, I thought of a fantastic couple of reality TV shows.
Yeah.
Good.
One would be basically like a Big Brother, where you can get all the top-notch guys in the subject together under one house and see how long people can survive. And the second one would probably be something like Ghost Hunters from Hell. You know, you get like plumbers from hell.
Oh yeah.
We could have like Ghost Hunters from Hell, couldn't we? And set up cameras, you know, and just see what goes on. Because I never forget investigating this this pub in Nottinghamshire. And I got there during my second visit, and he said, "Oh, you don't mind, but I've asked this medium to come along." "Oh, join our investigation?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, well, it's all right when it's under control, as you know, Neil. You know, but when you got an outside sources coming, you don't know them and stuff." So he said, "Oh, God." Anyway, you can laugh your head off at this. This very long car pulls up outside, and I've never seen a woman so tall in my life. She climbed out of the back of this car. She must have been about 6'8", 6'9". She was thin as a rake and scary looking. And then another woman got out of the car who must have been about 4'6", with a duffel coat on, with the hood up. And this woman says, I was introduced, she said, "Oh, I'm Mary." I said, "And who's this?" She said, "This is my psychic battery."
Oh, what?
And she spent the rest of the night chasing round the pub in the dark, saying that she was chasing the Hound of Hell.
Oh my God.
And it really did ruin our investigation that night. But it just goes to show, you know, it certainly adds a bit of spice and colour to it. You know, but you know, you never know what you're going to get.
Some of them can go a bit too far.
Well, yeah, some of them can.
In a long car.
Yeah, I guess her feet were out the front, you know. And
Ben says, "What about Ghostwatch 2?"
Yeah.
Yeah. What happened to Ghostwatch 1?
Yeah.
I never saw it, but I've heard about it.
The BBC's.
Yes.
I don't really get into that because I had some involvement in it.
Oh dear.
Because the guy who made it's a really good friend of mine. He also did Afterlife. I don't know did you watch Afterlife?
Yes.
Oh yes, I enjoyed
He
that.
also did Afterlife. He's
I enjoyed that.
Afterlife was really good.
Yeah.
And you won't find it on my portfolio or anything because it's not a good thing to have because the BBC nearly got closed down because of it. You know,
oh my God, was it that bad?
It was that bad. It was simply because so many people had so many adverse effects from it.
Really?
That the BBC nearly lost its license over it. So you won't find
Talking
it on my
about adverse
portfolio.
effects, which would actually lead us on to our subject tonight in a way.
Mm.
We watch programmes that are live. Okay, most of the programmes have got like a 15-minute delay thing, haven't they, when they come through to us.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've probably asked this before, but I think I asked it to somebody who was into demonology.
I think if it's what you're going to think you're going to ask,
it
was me that asked Mr. Fred Bat.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Or Mr. Bat himself.
Basically, what it was, right, when you see the live programmes and they sit there and they do these incantations, and then there was one particular one where they were calling up the devil and all this, that and the other. Mm-hmm. Now, going back to the days of, what's his name, Uri Geller.
Oh, Yuri.
Yeah.
Really
I remember he used to say, I remember once he said, "Put a spoon on the telly or something, I'm going to bend it," this sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah? And there was quite a few people that on his show that had contacted him and say, "Yes, my spoon has bent, blah, blah, blah. You've done this, or you've done that."
Same with old clocks and watches
Yeah.
to get them going,
You know, now,
Yeah.
on the live shows of these paranormal events, and when they go and conjure up the so-called devils and stuff like that and the demons, they're coming through your media, your TV.
Yeah.
Now, you're watching it live. can there be some sort of way that you're actually listening to this live, therefore they could be incantating into your house?
Oh, right.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
The
layman will sit there and think, well, hang up a minute, you're calling up the devil, I'm watching you on the TV, you're live, blah, 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 blah.
Well, there are a number of different...
Yeah, your sound is actually coming into my living room.
Precisely.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, there's a personal and professional
especially
opinion
if
on that one,
you are thinking that your place is allegedly haunted.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
You know, what would you think to that?
Well, incantation, you know, if you want to get involved in regarding the recordings and things of it, I've usually been quite unsuccessful. Some people believe that it was down to the frequencies that are emitted at that time, and the frequencies of vocals, which are 3.6 to 34.8 in hertz, are completely different than any recorded voice that you may get over the television, the radio, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
You could say it falls under that one. What do you think, Neil? What do you think about? do you think having a guy doing it there and a recording of it makes a difference?
I don't think incantations work.
There you go. You see.
I'm not a big
that
believer
was
in incantations.
well, no,
because
professional opinion would have been that. But
where do incantations come from?
Can
Who made them up?
Can I just say at this point that Mr. Fred Batt said, and I don't want to go too much with the gentleman because he's not here to answer one way or the other. He actually said that it only works in the place where it's happening.
I know. But I've done some work with Fred Batt, and he left the studio when I was there, unfortunately. But he referencing himself as a demonologist.
Did you scare him?
Did I scare him? He just didn't know what to say.
You scare me sometimes with some of the things.
We didn't see him again, unfortunately.
Oh dear me! So you've not seen him again. So I won't get him on the show then.
You're very unlikely to get.
What do you reckon, Neil?
I don't think so. You know. I don't think he'd answer as many questions if he did anyway.
Well, we can always.
I did send him a message on Facebook.
I can always travel home and hold the show in his club.
Ask people.
Well,
He didn't go. I said, we're doing a demonology show this week. Why don't you give us a call? I've not heard anything.
No,
so, but you know,
Yes.
but we will be getting some people on the show, won't we?
Honestly, so it's all down about belief, about incantation, you know, and that invocations of activity to taking place through incantation. There's not much evidence to support it. In the parapsychological section, they'll just completely overlook it and ignore it because they don't believe there's enough evidence to support it, just as Neil said. It's all down to about personal belief, you know, because are we adversely affecting our own environment through that belief? So I think in that case, it happens to those that believe in it, believe in it strongly enough.
Yeah, this is it. Well, we've got some people in the chat room. So who we got in there, Steve?
We have Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider.
I think is John.
Yeah.
And we have Ben.
Okay.
At the moment, so let's take into our first step into tonight's show. Our first steps.
Shall I introduce it in this way? So we'll go for this to start, and like I was supposed to do last time, but I was called away to a telephone call. So I'm going to do the
not
introduction.
Guilty. I didn't do it.
No, I know you didn't. So as you know, we have Steve Mehra and Neil Munnerley as our guests tonight live in the hub on the KTPF show, and we are talking about demons. And are we going to touch on exorcisms again?
We can touch on it. We did go through quite a bit last time, but I think we need to get more to the fundamentals of demonology tonight, really, because we just sort of gave the 21st century view, didn't we?
Yeah. So
we're going for an 18th century view this time.
An 18th century view. I didn't get an 18th century clip. So
we'll go for 1970s instead.
Okie dokie. So we're going to do this intro for you, and we'll be back just after this break. So we'll see you soon with Demonology.
Somewhere between science and superstition, there is another world. The world of darkness. Nobody expected it. Nobody believed it. And nothing could stop it.
There are no experts. You probably know as much about possession as most priests. Look, your daughter doesn't say she's a demon. She says she's the devil himself.
I'm telling you that that thing upstairs isn't my daughter. Now I want you to tell me that you know for a fact that there's nothing wrong with my daughter except in her mind. You tell me you know for a fact that an exorcism wouldn't do any good. You tell me that!
The one hope. The only hope. The Exorcist.
Yeah, welcome back to the show. That was just a scene from The Exorcist, and if you probably remember the film, it actually tallies into part of our conversation tonight, doesn't it, Steve?
It does indeed. In the film, the well-known Ouija board was supposed to have started it all off. So my question to you, gentlemen, the devil's toy or a tool to find out what's on the other side?
Yeah.
My honest opinion?
Yes.
Neither.
Neither. All right, okay.
Sorry, guys.
That's that one good.
But it's just, you can't help it, you know. What I can say is that, you know, first painted it in 1891 by Elijah Bond. It was used as basically for tool as a game type thing. However, though, it was first references are 1100 AD in China, referred to as Fuji, which was a form of planchette writing. I don't know if there was any earlier references in that. You know, might know. No. It's been going on for a long time. The device, though, such as the Ouija board, really came into use and recognised in 1891 after Elijah Bond painted the idea and went to manufacture. Everybody likes them, you know, but as for eliciting the truth from the spirit plane, there's very little evidence to support it, but there's lots of good stories out there. Unfortunately, most people connected the board to most demonological phenomena and things through the film The Exorcism. Once The Exorcist, when it was seen, a lot of people put that connection together, and therefore it's pretty much stuck like mud since.
Yeah, I also say that it was very popular during the First World War to get to try and contact even the Crimean. I think before that, to try and contact with their to see if people that they loved ones had actually passed or not.
Listen, the military and officials have tried all sorts.
No, I don't mean the military in this case. I mean loved ones trying to.
Oh right, well even the military have tried it.
Yeah.
You know, they've all tried all them. Did dowels for Japanese bunkers during the Vietnam War. You know, which were underground, hidden little and they use dowsing, you know, methods of divining and dowsing for those sort of things. So they'll use any methods that they can find, which might be better.
That's a big one at the moment.
That's right.
Yeah. I think they should have just sent Sergeant York over. He would have found it.
So
brilliant film in case you haven't seen it.
The Ouija board's not as bad as we've been told then.
Well, this is it. It's that we've been told thing. You know, who's actually doing the speaking? You know, and have they got the evidence to provide it?
But like Neil said in the past, it's been teenagers messing about.
I think that my belief in it all, I don't believe the Ouija board for one moment is the tool that's bringing anything. Yeah, exactly. It's a lettering system, and I think it's the person that's using the actual board that's picking things up.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at where Ouija boards go wrong, it is drunken teenagers, because they're sat at home, they're having a play about, they're all drunk. The more you drink, more alcohol, the more relaxed you become, to spirit, you know, and you become a bit of a target.
So would you say
and
that
in
the
some
cleaner
cases
version
they're on
of
drugs
it
as well.
is in the bottle?
When you say Ouija board to somebody, they're like, oh no, I wouldn't touch one of them. But yet they'd go and do glass divination.
Yeah, but somebody won't even touch a board.
Well, some people are like that because, I mean, and I don't blame them for that, because, you know, when I've been asked many times about Ouija boards and should be instrument, I just simply say no, don't do it.
Yeah.
And it's not because of the methods of invocation or something could happen, what you might refer to as paranormal disturbances.
Yeah.
But it eliminates the possibility of them thinking that.
Yeah.
And the possibility of them manufacturing, or even if there is some percentage of the possibility of invocation.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying just because there's no evidence of it doesn't necessarily mean it isn't real. Well, you know, absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence. I've said this before.
Yeah.
And the thing is that, you know, there is lots of information out there to say, I did this and this happened, you know, but when it really comes down to the crunch of the matter is that did they have paranormal disturbances prior? Was it done in a location where incidents have taken place prior? You know, is it misidentifications? You know, because everyone's alert, everyone's senses are on alert.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't take much to basically consider something being paranormal in origin when you're messing around with the Ouija board.
Yeah. See, not only that, let's just take a worst case scenario. You've been playing with the Ouija board, you've not had a drink, but you've been having fun, and you think you've picked up this demon. Yeah. You then say, right, that's it, I'm going home now.
Yeah.
You're driving home. Now, forgetting the weather conditions or whatever else, you swerve on the road and maybe have a miss, you know, and you think, oh, God. Now, you're going to put that down to,
most people
what did I do?
Yeah.
You know.
Most people will put two and two together and say, I've took something home with me.
Yeah.
Or something forced me off the road or something. Yeah. But if I put another angle on it, let's say, when I say about it's not the Ouija board, it's the person that's actually, you know, taking that control.
Yeah.
If you look at tarot cards, for instance, I started on tarot cards many years ago, where I started my mediumship, because that's where your strengths and everything else is built for clairvoyance. You know?
Yeah.
And just reading tarot cards, and you know, you're using the same tool as a Ouija board. You know, you're reading from something. You've got your letters, your words, or whatever. But you're taking that control, and you're actually thinking that yourself. You know, it's not the actual cards that are dragging things in, but it's you yourself that are dragging that control in.
I think the form of the Ouija board is nothing more than a divination tool, really.
Yeah.
You know, and people will use whatever tools that they require, whatever they're comfortable, be it tarots, be it palmistry, be it tea leaf reading. You know, there's one called coffeeography now. Yeah. Reading the beans of coffee beans.
Bloody hell.
Oh, it doesn't matter what it is. There are thousands of different methods of divination.
Yeah, even your bumps on your head.
Right back to scrying and you know, and all sorts of things. Reading, phrenology. You know, there's thousands of them. But I think what the focus point is that the individual's method is chosen by them and what they best feel comfortable to do. Yeah. You know, and they might find, well, I'm not too keen on that one, but I like that one, and so on and so forth. So I think everybody's really tapping into the same source, but the focal points differ, and those different focal points are different methods of the divination, just as the Ouija board could be used as a divinational tool.
Exactly. Yeah. And like as I say, with the divinational tool, like you say, glass divination is exactly the same thing, because your pillar. I used to call it spirit in the glass when I was younger, you know, right? And we used to have all the letters round and what have you. But this yes-no thing is exactly the same, but I always say it's more controlled because you're controlling them, because all they can say is yes, no, or just sit there. But with a Ouija board, right, they've got more words to tell you where to go, you know. But then again, like you say, Neil, with a Ouija board, they can give you things. They can tell you dates. They can tell you more information. So you get more information on a haunted location.
It's just another tool. I mean, if you're sat there with a glass and a yes and no, what are you going to get from that?
Not
yes
a lot.
And no.
Yeah.
You know, or are you getting yes and no? Is it some of these muscle movements, which I think it is anyway?
Yeah.
That's pushing the glass. But
couldn't that be the same on the planchette, though?
It certainly can, which I think it is. I don't think it's the actual board. I think it's the person who's actually made contact or is the focal point of that particular Ouija board that's actually getting the information and is actually pushing the planchette
unwillingly or knowingly
with micro brain movements, you know, and
or even unconsciously.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, how many people have we had even on the glass itself, where all of a sudden they've got their granddad or something, and we've had to say, "Stop, we're not here for that." You know.
But on the other end of that, or the other side of that, which okay, it's the person that's pushing the planchette, but if they are the focal point and they are getting that information through in a mediumistic way, then there's no harm in spelling that out and moving that themselves, as long as they're getting information through that we can then check on, or whoever can check back on there and see if that's right.
I agree with Neil about the unconscious subtle muscular movements, the involuntary. We all have it. You know, when we actually try and place our fingers on something, there's always going to be some form of movement, and the more the merrier.
Well, I test that theory with the pendulum. I mean, you know, the pendulum trick where you can get it to go up and down, left to right, circle, and it's the actual muscle movement. Well, it's minute muscle movement.
Yeah, and the psychology of ourselves wanting to recognise certain movements, we start to impend them into our muscle, slight muscular movement. We're just not aware that we're doing it. It's a very common effect. However, what we are finding is that it isn't a useless tool, because we do know that we're tapping into the unconscious there. Okay, so parapsychology now is using those methods of where they're actually involuntary moving. I'll give you a typical example. We sit you down and we'll ask you 20 questions. Okay, statistical chance, well, if we gave you 25 questions, statistical chance 1 in 5 you're going to have correct. Okay, now if we did the same for you, but we gave you a pendulum and see if you will swing left or right to to change your viewpoint, would it be yes or no to those answers? You will find that you'll have a 65%. You'll be higher than the norm.
Right.
Why is that? So there's something innate within us what might know the information, the answer, but it's our consciousness that argues our subconsciousness and says, no, I don't believe that.
That's what I'm trying to say.
It's something controlling that.
It's something. I think it's possibly a mixture of two. I think it's a possibility of something controlling the person who's controlling.
That's it.
The object.
The puppet on the string job, and that's where we're more leading to, as opposed to you become the form of the divinational tool. You know what I mean? It's,
exactly. Yeah.
It's a really interesting concept, but it's only recently been taken on by parapsychological departments, that form of methodology of testing procedures through the unconscious means of doing that. It's only about 2 years old, and the results so far are really interesting.
Can I just say, it's probably more Neil's field there than yourself, Steve. For those that use the board or want to use the board, is there a proper way of opening and closing a board properly?
I knew you were going to ask that question.
I know you did.
There's no way of opening or closing. No, none at all. I mean, it's a lot of people say, put protection up and things like that. I mean, again, I question protection. What is protection? Where's protection coming from? And how can you prove you've got protection around you? So when you say open and close the board, no, there's no. How do you open a board? How do you open a group of letters on a table?
So there's no need to say a little prayer before you start, so to speak.
But it depends.
I think that depends on what people's belief is. If they believe it beneficial, it could be. We all know that we can adversely affect our own environment by simply our belief. People that actually believe they're lucky are lucky. If you fell down the stairs and you broke your leg, are you lucky that you didn't break your neck, or are you unlucky that you broke your leg? People which are lucky are lucky. Why is that? Because statistical surveys carried out by parapsychological departments in Hertfordshire have proven that the fact that when we get somebody who believes they're lucky, and we get what we refer to as the ball bearing counter drop machine, which normally when you drop 1,000 ball bearings, they'll fall into these little slots and they end up like a pyramid shape. Statistical analysis shows that it does it over and over and over, always the same. But when you actually sit somebody down and said, well, you're lucky and you want them to willingly try and move more to the left, there is a 1 or 2% difference. And that 1 or 2% difference is evidence to say that we are adversely affecting our environment. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that our own beliefs could adversely affect the physical world. And if that is the case, then all these things can be attributed to the paranormal. Could be simply, a lot is connected to the people that believe in it or disbelieve it, in a sense of speaking.
Well, you're watching the KTPF show here on the Keeping the Paranormal Friendly website. We do have a few people in the chat room, so if you have any questions, please feel free to type away. Okay, we will be opening the phones later on if you fancy giving us a call. We've got Denise there. We've got Dark Angel 26.
Welcome, Dark Angel.
So, and we've still got Ben in, hopefully. Neil Munnerley won't be in the chat room tonight because he's here live in the hub talking to us about demonology and Ouija boards and stuff like that. So anyway, demons and... Does that come from Ouija boards? What have you got to say for Steve?
I mean, on what Steve was just saying there, if I fell down the stairs and broke my leg, I'd feel lucky that I didn't break my bleeding neck. That's the kind of person I am.
Yeah, this is it.
But demons never meant demons as such, did it, when it first came out?
Not necessarily. There are lots of different names and references.
So the word demon, as we know it today, is basically a religious thing. I say it's what the Catholic Church originally labelled
Not just the Catholics.
And well, I say originally because
they
do, but in today's world, the Catholic Church was the first one.
Right. As far as everyone's concerned.
So I say the Catholic because
the word demon.
Yeah, because I mean, demon originally just meant a heavenly body, so to speak, not some growling, I'm going to kill you kind of an entity.
Well, it's our own interpretation. We know that there's 36 new references to the word devil in the King James Bible, but we're talking allegedly religious books which are portraying a certain events which are changed to fit the social development and category of today's society. This book, our King James Bible, will once again, and I've said this time and time again, within the next 10 years it's going to change again. I guarantee it.
So what we're basically saying is, if I don't believe you, and you're trying to hurt me, from my mind, you're a demon. Because I don't agree with it, and it's harming my belief.
Cultures would take epilepsy as a demonic infestation. It's all down to what people's beliefs are. But at the end of the day, there's so many different references, and different cultures call them different things. But if you have to really go back to the early days, biblical days, as we say, their references are still not. They still didn't manufacture them. They were older than that. There are a lot older references. It's just that it's changed throughout the years to fit our social, capacity now.
Yeah, and I know the old gods, so to speak, like pagan gods, the original, that we say original because of what they are, would automatically, from the Christian point of view, be classed as demons.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's all down to how much research you want to put into the demonology. I mean, if you actually start getting into it, you'll be quite shocked, because we have references like Beelzebub, Lucifer, Satan, yeah? Now, we all think we're all the same thing, don't we? But they're not.
I used to think
they're completely different.
I used to think that Satan and Lucifer was, but not Beelzebub.
No. I'll give you a typical example, because I put some references there. Let me just give you a few examples here, because I thought this was quite humorous. Quite unusually funny, this. Okay, we've got Lucifer. Okay, now is it supposed to be associated with the sins? The 7 deadly sins?
Yes.
Okay, let's look at pride, who's apparently associated to Lucifer. Okay, but if we actually look at anger, that's associated to Satan. Now, that's a bit, that's interesting, because that indicates that Lucifer and Satan are two different things. Then we've got Mammon, who's into, I haven't got my reading glasses on, guys, so I've got my long distance ones. Avarice, we've got lust there. We've got demons associated with the senses.
Asmodeus is lust, Satan is anger, Beelzebub is gluttony, Leviathan is envy, and Belphegor is vanity and sloth.
There you go. These are supposed to be the most 7 popular demons, because those are the 7 sins, and 7 deadly sins are supposed to be the most common things that are found within humanity. So, but have you noticed that like Lucifer and Satan and Beelzebub, there are 3 different references there? So we're not talking the same entity.
I was just looking at some of the other things you got on here. It's like, Jesus.
Oh no.
I think we'll come back to that later, shall we?
It says there's a species of demons.
Here we go.
As described by the Alphone Dispania. I've probably said that completely wrong, but there you go. This was in 1467. Fates who alter our destiny. Poltergeists who cause mischief. Incubi, succubi who stimulate lust and perversion. Marching hordes who bring about war. Familiars who assist witches. I think I'm a familiar, I tell you.
Cheeky bugger.
Nightmares who disturb sleep through bad dreams. Demons formed from human semen.
Ooh.
I don't really see what that one's all about, but disguised demons. Demons who assail the sanity. And demons who instigate witchcraft.
Yeah. You see, these are references from. You see how it's changed so much. We're talking references from the 1400s here. So we have such a varied, different approach to modern day demonology as we do from the traditional demonology.
Yeah, well, there are quite a few, isn't there? So, and that's just a handful, really, isn't it? There are loads of them.
One of the oldest reference, because people really want to ask the question, well, what is a demon? We're given all these names and things.
Yeah.
What did it consist of? Well, one of the earliest references that you might find, obviously, I have to say, it has to refer to the Catholics. This is a little paragraph from their teachings, writings, books, etc. Okay, these beings, because of pride, did not return God's love. God did not destroy them, though, but permits them a limit scope of activity. Their condition is permanent, for no creature can turn away from the perfect good of the basics of God. You can't really, or everything cannot turn away fully from God.
No.
So basically what he's saying is he's allowing them to give them existence, to do what they want to do, but even God cares for them. So it's a very unusual, how they do it.
Okay, you need to move my mic up a touch.
Yeah, very unusual.
Okay, I need them.
But that's your modern day references, should we say?
You want these.
Sometimes referred to as fallen angels and different things like that. So.
Yeah, I need them just in case somebody Skypes me.
There you go, Minnie.
Because I'll need the mic if somebody does. We have quite a few people on there listening to us, and if you feel like giving us a call, the number should be running along your screens. It looks like it is.
Yes, it is. It is definitely. Can I just ask, witchcraft, is that demonic or is that just...
Witchcraft, I believe, can be anything you want it to be.
Same as... I'm led to believe that Satanism is not necessarily about Satan.
It's about Satan.
It's just not believing in God.
No.
No, that's an atheist, isn't it?
No, he's believing in God. Yeah, I interviewed a head of the church, the Satanist church, and basically how he put it is that he believes that we live in Satan's domain because he was cast down to earth according to religious scriptures.
True.
Michael.
So we live.
Is that Michael?
Yes, the light bearer.
Was that Michael, the archangel Michael, that was cast down?
Oh, a number of them were.
I thought that was supposed to be Lucifer.
Even Satan.
Oh right, okay.
Or Lucifer.
Yes, I think they said Archangel Michael was the first, otherwise known as the light bearer, i.e. Lucifer.
Yeah, so you get a bit confused after a while.
They get very confusing depending on which particular Bible you're looking.
You use, is that they were cast down, this is his domain, so therefore they believe by worshipping him, you'll get to the editor.
I see.
Pointing up there, guys, the editor. Yeah. So, and basically, they all wear the same type of shrouds and things because they believe in equalism. In other words, that no person should look any different than any other because we should all be equal. So there's a lot of misconceptions regarding Satanism.
That doesn't sound too bad to me.
Well, no, there's
everybody being equal.
This poor guy got ousted from his own town, and it was a shame, really. But he wasn't a bad guy. He just had this opinion. That he wants to go to... Nobody wants to go to hell, so he wanted to go to heaven, and he believed by worshipping whose domain it is, they'll actually get there. So it's a different slant on religion, but not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, there are more unusual doctrines within the subject of paganism than there is Satanism.
Yeah, there is, definitely paganism. But it's like the old saying, it's like a lot of people actually say that this is our hell, this is where we're actually living in hell now.
Yeah.
And we've got to get through this hell to obviously go to heaven. And if we're not good,
then we turn back here.
We get returned back again. And
yes, if you think about it, it's not a bad way of looking at it. I mean, you don't piss off the guy who's in charge of where you are, because he's the one that can make your life.
Yeah, but then again, saying that, from what you just said, you get sent back here. Now that goes into another belief of the spirituality. You have so many steps, and you get sent back every time to learn different steps, which could also mean past life regression. It could also mean reincarnation. It could mean any of them. So which again, as we've always said,
it's not a bad theory to believe that there's a cycle of life, because there's a cycle to everything else in this universe.
Well, this is it. They keep saying once we've all gone, that's going to be it, but if we're getting past regressed, if we're getting reassessed every time.
There tends to be a lot of evidence to support reincarnation.
Yeah. Do you think so?
Oh yeah, there is a lot of evidence to support reincarnation.
But
there's also quite a lot of evidence to say that we exist after brain dies as well. There's some form of consciousness which we can't put our finger on after the brain dies. We know that that's a factual thing. We know that there's evidence to support that.
Isn't that the last thing to go, the brain? Did I hear somewhere along the line?
The last thing to go?
When you die. Isn't that the last thing that actually goes?
The last organ, because... Yeah.
The last organ, I mean, I think what you get mixed up is what the last senses are.
Right.
Out of your processes of information, you know. But,
I heard somewhere that when you die, the heart goes and everything else.
Well, the heart...
The head is the last thing to actually say, that's it, I've gone.
Yeah, well, the heart's pumping blood and oxygen, and the brain can't work without that. So once that stops and other things start to shut down, the body will automatically shut down everything it doesn't need.
Yeah, and the brain will be the last thing to say, that's it.
That's why it's at the top of our head.
Yeah, but
furthest from injury.
On a section of that, we just said there, your subconscious, which I consider to be the most powerful part of your brain, because it's working in the background there without your knowledge, and giving cause for a lot of deja vu to start with, I think. Wouldn't that be the bit that goes last?
No, I would say I'd actually argue the point is preconscious. But let's not get into unconscious, preconscious, subconscious debate.
No, demons.
Because Freudian psychology is going to start giving you.
No,
demons. We're getting sidetracked.
Stay with
that's so easy to do.
Here's some really interesting information from the parapsychological. I wanted to put over tonight what the parapsychological view is on modern day possession. Okay, so let me give you the most evidence in the world that can be provided to say yes, they are possessed. Okay, these are a list of the items, and what I did is I actually put some of my own little references beside them from a parapsychological or psychological point of view. Okay, the first sections of these signs are okay, a change in social behaviour. Okay, that could be an indicator to demonic possession.
Yes.
My view from that, the parapsychological and psychological point of view, will be due to lifestyle, economy, health, efficiency, hormones. They can all change social behaviour.
Yes.
So that's okay. So we can't say that that's a definite evidence towards it. Personality changes is another one. Okay, said to be proof of demonic possession. Okay, so we've got medications, we've got physiological illnesses, we've got drugs, we've got stress. These can all change our personality. So again, we can sort of say, well, there's a rational explanation for that one. Okay,
definitely.
I mean, and these are all the evidences, by the way. These are all the things. I'm not leaving anything out here.
No.
These are all the evidence to support demonic possession. All right, preternatural occurrences. Now, let me just explain what kind of preternatural disturbances are. Anything preternatural is beyond the norm but not impossible. Yeah, supernatural, that's the impossible, but beyond the norm but not impossible. Okay, so we're talking preternatural phenomena.
Yeah.
Okay, most of the time it's physiological conditions. I'll give you a typical example. That some people can have such severe convulsions that the body, we mentioned this last time, their body can twist and profound shapes, and you think that's not humanly possible, but it is, because they're doing it. You know, that you could say is preternatural phenomena. It's not the norm, it's beyond the norm, but it's not impossible. It can happen. We know that people can stick spoons and irons and pans to them. They're magnetic.
Oh yes, definitely.
You know?
I've seen that.
It's preternatural.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got sleep disturbances. Okay.
Sleep patterns, yes.
Yeah. But there are 30 plus psychological symptoms for that. I don't need to go into all those different things, that sleep deprivation, paralysis and all those sort of things. There are a lot of them. There's about 38 different ones, which could account
from
for
the sleep thing. That would mean me and Sue are definitely.
Insomnia is one of them. Narcolepsy is another.
I get insomnia.
A big long list. Yeah. So that can't be proven as so. Right? Okay, we've got aggressive rage or violent behaviour. Okay.
If you're tired, you're going to get very...
Well, we can have unnatural brain function, you know. We can have what is referred to as SPECT, S-P-E-C-T. I won't go into it, but it's a form of analysis that we do on the brain. to look for the reasonings behind those type of conditions.
Yeah.
Some people have, sudden outbursts, aggressive behaviour, and there are psychological reasons before it. So it's trying to prove that could it be down to demonic possession, or could there be a rational explanation?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, if you lacking the sleep, that can make you very irritable and angry at the slightest.
It doesn't
thing
take
anyway.
a lot, does it?
No.
We've got polyglossia. Right.
I've heard that.
Have you heard of that?
I've heard the name, yes.
Right, polyglossia. Okay, it's intermingled languages. In other words, you get some people which talk a number of languages, but kind of intermingled, and they're mixed up and confusing. You can't really understand them. But there are what you might refer to as psychological dysfunctions that can cause that. So again, you can't prove it exactly that's the case.
I used to have some Italian friends at school that used to do that on purpose to confuse the teachers.
I bet it did. And then we've got xenoglossia, which is another referencing regarding speaking in multiple languages. Now that's not being mixed up, they're not intermingled, but they can speak multiple languages. But then, people can do that under forms of hypnosis. They can have mental illnesses that can be done. Because what happens is that some program that you may have watched. Have you ever seen a program which is in a foreign language?
Yeah.
You have. Yeah. That information, believe it or not, is still in your brain.
That's right, yeah.
The words are still there. The sounds of those words are still there. You can't consciously recall them, but I bet you could them subconsciously. And what happens is, during certain psychological illnesses, the subconscious comes more foremost, and suddenly you start spelling out this foreign language, and it might be from some advert that you watched 30 years ago or 20 years ago. You know what I mean? And you just didn't know.
It's a bit like falling asleep watching
a
foreign movie.
Yeah.
Your brain's still recording.
Oh, it's still recording it. It all goes in there and stored away.
In my case, it would be Chinese then, because when I was a lad, every Friday night at the local Odeon used to show the old Chinese martial arts film with the subtitles.
There you go. I mean, we'd have to do research to find out that, but in some cases we do, and that proves the fact that exoglossia can happen simply because of the methods of the brain works. We've got the forms of precognition, premonitions, predictions, retrocognition, all those four different things. Those have to be taken as chance factors. You have to analyse them, you have to data log them, you have to work out exactly how that information is being obtained and the chances of odds, law of odds, should we say. So you've got to work out, that's a separate field, you've got to completely work. And sometimes you might find, it's not such it's not such an unusual thing. There is chance that could happen. So are people only saying things that could by chance happen? And if that's the case, then we tend to focus on them, don't we?
That's it.
Requires a lot of evidence that does. So of course, we've got profanities. We've all heard about profanities. Anybody that's watched the Exorcist film, there's quite a number of profanities in there.
Oh yeah.
And a few that are not good for put on the air at the moment.
No.
Okay. So we've got learned anxiety reactions.
So basically, if somebody's got Tourette's,
exactly.
There you go. What I mean?
Tourette's. Do you know what? Even bipolar.
Yeah.
Even bipolar can cause it. Yeah. Forms of schizophrenia can cause it. So we can rule out that one.
Steve, can you just reiterate what you're actually going through here? We've just had 2 new people come in.
Basically what I'm going through here is that I've made notes some years ago in regarding when people say people have been possessed by alleged demons, spirits, that sort of thing. They are apparently telltale signs of this. So I've looked through and found all the telltale signs I possibly can of alleged demonic possession. And on the other side of that, I've actually put down what the psychological point of view is from psychologists and from parapsychologists on this matter. So we kind of have 2 views of opinion here. And this is what we have got today. By anybody who's coming forward and saying they're demonically possessed. We've got to look on the other side and say, is there a reason for it? And these are these symptoms from either side. And we come to a conclusion somewhere in the middle, So I'm going through basically a list on that. We've got sacred aversions. When I say people are sacred aversions, they don't like crosses, they don't like to go to church, they don't like... We've all seen that in films, haven't we? It's known as hierophobia. Actually, hierophobia is the proper reference to that. Because it doesn't just affect people which are allegedly claimed to be possessed by demons and stuff. It can actually be a phobia. Some people do have that phobia, without ever saying that they've ever been possessed or had anything, spiritual or paranormal happening to them.
Yeah, I seem to remember there's a member of my family that doesn't like going into churches.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, they do for a family because it's a Christian and that, but they don't really want to be there.
Well, most of it's driven by anxiety, and you can have anti-anxiety medication, but most of it is regarding your behavioural patterns.
Yeah.
Usually that's, once you get all of the behavioural sciences and start looking into there, you'll usually find the answer most of the time. Glossonalia is speaking in tongues.
Yes.
Okay, and we've heard lots of different references about this over the years, that certain priests and, different cultures around the world, their hierarchy in the religion have allegedly talked in what was referred to as some form of Babel. But recordings of Babel in culture, recorded and played back to see if they match up other forms of Babel around the world, do not, nowhere near. So the fact is that it's their own little Babel, in the sense of speaking. I mean, I say Babel because it goes back to the Babylons and the Tower of Babel and all that sort of thing. But there's not enough evidence to support it. So basically, when they start talking in tongues, it's just rubbish, which we can babble.
Gobbledygook.
We
all spoke slang in school, didn't we?
Oh, yeah.
It was our own
Actually,
language,
a few of my friends
Pigeon-
made our
was
own
it
language up.
Pigeon
when we were about
English and all
15.
that lot.
Yeah.
So that's not enough evidence to support that.
No.
Amnesia. Oh, come on, guys. Just because you've got amnesia in that, it doesn't mean that strokes or seizures, drugs, alcohol, Alzheimer's.
Yes.
Head injuries. There are lots of things that cause amnesia. Confusion. Again, they can have confusion in demonic possession, allegedly.
I think I've got about 20 of them symptoms so far.
I know. Dementia's part of it. Psychotic disorders, drugs,
No, I've not got
all
dementia.
sorts. Loads and loads of explanations.
That kind of means you're in trouble, girl.
I've got one on here, suddenly losing or gaining weight. I've definitely got the gaining weight bit.
Certainly the loss. I mean, of course, we have embarrassment, shame, and guilt. That's a general thing that can be psychologically analysed.
Wish I did have the loss.
Auditory experiences.
I'm hearing things.
It's paracousia. Actually,
Yeah.
The paracousia. It's the name of things. Anything associated to your hearing voices, some type of disturbance through your auditory system. Again, it's heard in references to schizophrenia.
When I originally advertised this for our first show, I put on there that, do you have changes in your sleep patterns, which you've mentioned? Are you suddenly losing or gaining weight? Are you experiencing blackouts in your memory, which is what you've mentioned? And have you noticed a change in your attitude and behaviour or becoming hostile?
There we go.
There you go. Could this be just the menopause? You see what I mean? Or are you
menopause,
domestically?
you know what? Psychologically, a lot of people, and I have to say this from the psychological point of view, a lot of women do use the old menopause thing for associated to. It's only associated about probably about 43 different things. One of them can be memory loss. I do know that. But then there are I've heard probably another 16 to 18 different items associated with menopause. It's absolutely not true whatsoever.
Right.
But people, some people like to jump on that and say, it's the menopause, but it's not always the case.
No.
You could have something associative to it,
Precisely.
but not necessarily that. But there are quite a number of things associated to menopause, and that is, yes, you can have memory loss.
And a lot of them things you've mentioned so far could also be PTSD.
PTSD,
So you see where I'm coming from,
post-traumatic
can't you guys?
disorder.
So we've got audio experiences, we've got olfactory experiences, which is the olfactory is smelling things.
Yes.
Okay, again, there are numerous different illnesses that can cause that. I think the one we use is known as fatsomia. And fatsomia is where you get these very unusual and acute smells, and people just suffer from them. We have physiological manipulation. The convulsions, those sort of things, again, can be a normal physiological event. Doesn't necessarily mean it being possessed by a demon.
No.
Dermatological phenomena.
Right.
It is a big one.
It is a big one.
Letters or markings that appear on the skin. Can happen, believe it or not. It's something referred to as self-induced spontaneous physical marking, SISPM. It's no different than stigmatics. If you believe in it strongly enough, the wounds will appear. And when, like I mentioned last time, when we found out that Christ is more likely to have been nailed through the wrist because it would have been torn through his palm, so the phenomena moved. a lot of the times. So, you know, it's down to the individuals. And people in hypnosis, we put 2 pieces on their arms and said, oh, they're quite hot, and they're blistered.
Yeah.
And they're not. So the physical side to it shouldn't happen, but the mental side takes over. So what I should say is that the psychological aspect of the human body, ourselves, governs the physiological side. You know, so we can have wounds, we can have markings. If we believe it strongly enough, we can manifest lots of different things that occur in our bodies, even scratch marks and welts and all sorts of things. So again, not exactly evidence towards demonic possession.
No, this is it.
Eating and drinking disorders, like you mentioned before. Well, we don't, you know, of course, we know so many events. You know, anorexia, bulimia. You know, there are so many different types of things associated with that. But most commonly, eating disorders are brought on by anxiety, distress, and vexation, those sort of things. So eating and drinking disorders, again, there's a rational explanation for them. We're coming to the end of the list. You know, we're running out.
Guys,
we're running out.
If you suddenly can't hear Steve very well, can you let us know? Because he does have a habit of dropping the mic down here.
All right, that's okay. Multiple personalities. Now, you see a few of them when you're shopping in Tesco, don't you?
He sounds okay, actually. I've been checking it.
Multiple personalities, episodes of unconsciousness. In other words, people do actually have episodes of unconsciousness. It's usually referred to as narcolepsy. It's usually referred to some sort of sleep deprivation or sleep problem that they have. Again, there's a rational explanation for that. But, you know, when you start to have multiple personalities, again, it's known as a psychological illness. You know, it's an identity. It's what you refer to as an identity disorder. You know, so everything. It doesn't matter how much you research on the internet, how much, and I challenge anybody. You go out there and find me fantastic evidence to show that this person is demonically possessed, and I will give you its counterpart from a psychological point of view. Now, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying demonic possession doesn't happen. But what I'm saying is that there was always an argument against. So there's for and against on either side. You have to cut down the middle, because we do rely upon certain scientific evidence to support the fact that certain things are happening. But then, you know, we rely on the other side of that is the religious aspect. So it's all down to personal belief. Does all those illnesses that coincide once together mean demonic possession? In other words, what I'm saying is that, is it really demonic possession, or is it something that creates all those illnesses to manifest in us on all one go? That is more fantastic than actual demonic possession itself, because you actually look at what it consists of. It's like a jigsaw puzzle, and the pieces put together make a big picture. That picture of demonic possession, they consist of all these little pieces, and that pieces might be, you know, multiple personalities, glossinalia, you know, eating disorder, and it's all these little things. But these can be all attributed by psychological and physiological illnesses.
Well, this is
so, you know, so is something happening to that individual that manifests all those things at the same time, and it is referenced demonic possession. Good question. Good 21st century argument there.
Well, we're going to leave you with that to listen to. While we go on to the paranormal news, we're going to have a quick break. Steve's moving his mic. So, get yourself a drink. I haven't got one because I didn't get one. But have yourself a drink, and we'll see you after the paranormal news. Thank you.
Are we really alone? The race to find intelligent life, or any life at all, beyond Earth has been a heated space scramble for decades, even though no concrete evidence of extraterrestrials has ever been confirmed. It seems like every space probe ever launched and scheduled to launch had a fine life stamped on its mission. But UFO chasers in Central California are convinced their region is an alien hotspot. Since the July 8, 1947 crash in Roswell, and 80 million Americans believe in UFOs, so maybe we don't have to leave Earth to find them. Jeffrey Gonzalez is one of such, the founder of Sanger Paranormal Society and the UFO Chaser for the past 4 years. He even runs a 24-hour UFO hotline. People call and he investigates claims of the UFO sightings. Scientologists think Tom Cruise has telekinetic and telepathic powers. Tom Cruise may be a superstar in Hollywood, but in the Church of Scientology he is positively supernatural. Cruise, who is at the very advanced OT 8 stage, operative thetis or OTs, Friedman says, have total control over themselves and their environment. OTs can allegedly move inanimate objects with their minds, leave their bodies at will, and telepathically communicate with and control the behaviour of both animals and human beings. Also from Hollywood, Charlie Sheen claims he can see dead people. The anger management star believes that he has started to see the ghost of dearly departed friends during visits to their grieving families. Charlie revealed in the recent months he's had 2 eerie encounters that he cannot explain. He said, when my friend, writer Zalman King died, I went to comfort his widow Pat. We were making a toast and I saw Zalman, who had been dead for 4 hours, dance through the background. It was a trip. He continued to tell Playboy magazine, another dear friend of mine, Stephanie, her father died, and I was at her house and he walked past me on the stairwell one day. I know it was him. I just accept stuff like this and don't try to figure it out. I saw these people. Chris Fox is a man with nerves of steel. Although when you're in the ghost hunting business, this is somewhat a professional necessity. But a trip to downtown Maytown, 5 hours west of Cairns, recently still has him shaking in his boots. Fox, one of the region's foremost paranormal investigators, released a 34-minute documentary last week telling the tale of his 3-night stay in the historic town, and his description of what happened is enough to send shivers down your spine. You walk down the main street and get the feeling you were being watched, like you were trespassing. Right up until the last day, I started getting very twitchy and very emotional. It got to the point where I couldn't take any more. I virtually cracked in the end. I said I couldn't do this anymore. As I was standing inside the replica miner's hut, I was bending down to grab my stuff, and something hit me from the left-hand side and threw me across the room onto the table. After this, I don't remember anything until the next day. Sounds freaky. He swears black and blue. The next thing he remembers was being found by fellow tourists the next day, 8 kilometers from the historic town. While many may not believe this creepy tale, there is plenty of dark history surrounding the former gold mining centre to give it an eerie feel, some of it bloody. Believe it or not, Fox hopes, if nothing else, his documentary entitled Dead Eyes Watching will help keep the town's memory alive, and just maybe not in the small hours of the evening. Mystery over a hungry caterpillar crop circle. It's high summer, not that you would know it from the weather, and in the middle of the crop circle season, but has the rain deterred those responsible for creating the familiar, if peculiar patterns? Not at all. The latest of this year's circles has turned up in Burnham Woods in Wiltshire, and it boasts a very familiar design. The circle is 300 foot long and seems to be an attempt to recreate the famous hero of the Hungry Caterpillar, a book by Eric Carle, first published in 1969. As ever, it's not clear precisely who or what is responsible for the circle, not even clear when it was made, but it follows hard on the heels of another striking crop-based creation which was first spotted at the end of last month. Crop circle experts, yes, there are such things, claim the design is an attempt to depict the New Jerusalem along with drops of water that could herald the start of a new world. Alternatively, it's just a rather artistic but rural vandalism. The 200-foot design has appeared in a wheat field at Stanton St Bernard in Wiltshire. A farmer who owns the field has not yet destroyed the design. Instead, he's installed an honesty box, charging £2 for people to have a look. At least someone is making money out of the tourists this summer. And if you like what you've heard so far, you will find the links to these and other stories in the other show topic section of the KTPF discussion area. Just 8 sightings this week on the UFO Watch, starting on the 12th of July. Hornby, Beddown in North Yorkshire, Kingston upon Hull, Rugby, Collingwood, Nottingdale, Pentland Hills, Haymarket, Edinburgh. 13th of July, Queen's Ferry. I wonder if it's all them factories up there. On the 14th of July, Whitby, North Yorkshire. and Bedford again on the 15th of July, Kings Norton. If you can get all the reports and sightings for these and many more at www.uk-ufo.co.uk. Have fun, and don't forget, if you've seen a UFO, let us know.
Yeah, welcome back to the show. It's the KTPF show here on the Keeping the Paranormal Friendly channel, and on the Keeping the Paranormal Friendly website. You are here with us. We're live in the hub with myself, Suzanne, my husband Steve, and Steve Mera, our regular co-host, drinking coffee, and Mr. Neil Munnerley.
Just coincidentally about drinking coffee.
Yeah. Go on.
All right,
go on. I'm on.
Just have to say, coincidentally, about drinking coffee, too much caffeine in the system can also attribute to certain things, which could be attributed to demonic possession.
Right.
That's
okay.
also something else.
So
overdose on caffeine.
So welcome back to the show. We've been talking about demonology and demons and such like, and Ouija boards and stuff like that. Now,
I know that Steve's got a couple of questions.
He has. Go on, quickly ask some questions.
It's basically the big question.
The big question.
After everything you've just said and read out, and I will split this into two parts for you.
Okay.
First of all, do you believe in demons as in the biblical sense, i.e. the big nasty monsters that are going to come and hurt everybody, or demons as in just bad spirits or entities, and not as such the biblical side of it?
I think the references to biblical stuff, what we in receipt of, the general public, is not quite the full picture. Not like what you may obtain if working for the Vatican. However, I do believe this is obviously something, because the Vatican spend a considerable amount of money in the teachings of how to do a demonic possession. It's a culture that's been going on for a long time. It's a methodology that's been referenced for a long time. Even references to demons and stuff, you'll find them in biblical references. There are plenty of them. However, what we might consider them to be today, different story. But I'm not diverting away from the question of my belief. My belief is, yes, I do believe there's something, but it's very, very difficult to actually categorise what that something is. I believe that if you've got good in the world, you've got to have something equal and opposing it. Some level playing ground.
Okay. And as somebody who's actually done exorcisms, same questions to you, Mr. Munnerley.
Very similar to Steve, to be honest. As in the biblical sense, no, I don't believe, especially with the names, that you've just read out there. It's I think that's all the fairy tale stuff. Well, what I perceive as fairy tale stuff, because I'm not a religious person in any way, but some of the stuff I've dealt with, I know myself there is some pretty bad stuff there that wants to do some damage to some people down here, put it that way. Whether that's brought on by themselves or whether somebody's brought them in and sort of targeted that person with them, I don't know, but it's the way I look at it. Yes, there is something there that is very, very bad that can be perceived as what people would say is a demon.
Would you class that as spirit or entity? I say entity by something that hasn't lived.
I believe a lot of the stuff I've dealt with in the past has been stuff that's never been done on this earth before.
So
that I wouldn't understand.
So we'd class it as an entity.
They would give themselves a name. I can't go too much into it, but
obviously
there's a lot of stuff there that you just know they haven't walked this earth before. So again, that brings into question, well, where have you come from? Where have you actually been residing for the last so many centuries? So, but that's. I'll leave that to a later date.
Could these possibly be forces that have come out from people? Could these be generated, if you know what I mean, subconsciously?
Well, you're starting on the realms of poltergeist infestations there.
Well, yeah, because you get all
which
these
I believe to be
demonologists.
entities and not a living, never were a living soul.
Well, this is it. So could that be some sort of theory?
It's very difficult because it's all speculation without evidence. Nobody has ever provided evidence to suggest that poltergeist infestations of some past spirit.
You see so many
tend to be certainly intelligent forms of entities.
You see so many of these exorcist films and stuff like that, and the way they're going crazy, and I know it's all Hollywood and things. Yeah. But I was watching Tony Robinson. He was doing his bit about certain stuff on one of the documentary channels. I can't remember. Superstition, I think it was called.
Yeah, he was going through what people used to do, and he was actually reenacting it.
He was reenacting them, and he was doing this exorcism, and he was saying they really used to do this. Oh yes, they used to, strap them up. They used to burn them.
They do all sorts.
A bit like cattle prodding and stuff like that, and try and burn. Scare out the demons and stuff like this. It's ridiculous.
And Ferry Lights has suggested that maybe also aliens could be at least partly responsible for some of this stuff.
I've actually thought of that myself, to be honest. And I do have an open mind to aliens.
Why should there be limitations?
Well, this is
we're all dealing with consciousness.
And that would also account for something that hasn't lived on this earth.
Exactly. Yes,
it's very good. It's very difficult. But
that's not to say that all alien entities wouldn't want to harm us.
No.
Who's to say all mediums aren't aliens?
The biggest identity regarding demonic possession is simply that our paranormal disturbances taking place at the same time that people have the symptoms of these medical conditions which could be related to demonic possession. And are those paranormal disturbances irrefutably real, authenticated, with evidence, conclusive evidence? And if that is the case, then we could put all that in one great big package and call it, possibly demonic possession.
Yeah.
Because it's not just a matter about what psychological and physical effects are happening to an individual, but the environment.
Yes.
And the paranormality of it, and all that all thrown into one big bucket could circumnavigate the whole subject of demonic possession.
Yeah.
So maybe it is that as a package deal, as opposed to just saying, well, it's just that person's having those psychological illnesses. So maybe it's just down to referencing, but if we've got those type of things happening, then there's some evidence towards the theory of demonic possession. Sure.
I have a question here for Neil from Shabba. He said, "How old is the oldest spirit you have channeled, and where did he come from?" And hello, people.
It's a way to introduce yourself, isn't it?
Well, when I used to be in my sort of physical mediumship sort of training, if you like, the training grounds, you had to do a lot of channeling work, obviously, and there was a very old guide that I was with for quite a while, who was sort of 16th century, but I think that's as far back as I've gone, really, that I know of.
And obviously you're relying on them telling you the truth, of course.
Exactly, so who's to say he wasn't from sort of, the last sort of 100 years rather than the last, you've got to it's a trust again, and it's again, like Steve said, it's a belief system. It's who do you believe? Do you believe the guide? Is he telling you the truth? Is he who he is? Because there's different sort of things also that you've got to think about as well. Is there's a belief system that when you go into the spirit world, you can change to whoever you want. You can change your identity, you can change your name, you can look younger as you did 30, 40 years ago, so you can change your appearance, so who's to say you are who you are?
Interesting.
That's, that makes it very difficult to try to actually ascertain as to who you're talking to.
I've just tipped the apple cart up a little bit.
As I say, if you have just joined us, we are here live in the hub, myself and Steve, along with Mr. Steve Mayer, our co-host, and medium and friend Neil Munnerley.
Friend. Get the friend bit in.
Yeah, of course he's our friend.
I'm not sure. Hang on, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right, but Shabba said so. No, Anunnaki then.
Anunnaki then.
Oh, Anunnaki.
Sorry,
Anunnaki.
Have a look for yourself. You might be able to pronounce it differently.
So no Anunnaki.
know Anunnaki?
Yeah.
Oh, do you know what he's on about?
Who's Anunnaki?
Oh, you do?
You do.
Would you like to explain, Steve?
Explain, Stephen.
No, I don't believe Anunnaki. If you want to be regarding Sumerian texts and writing and stuff. No. Maybe Nephilim, but not Anunnaki.
Right. Well, as I say, we are inviting you to join us.
And I'm still lost with both of them.
I'm completely lost myself.
We are actually joining you, asking you to join us, and as we discuss live and friendly topics about the paranormal, whether it be by email, chat room, on the phone, or even via Skype. It's for all those interested in supernatural, the paranormal, or anything unusual. Tonight we're talking about demonology. As I said, we've touched on Ouija boards, where that comes into it. And the question I'd like to ask, I'd just like to say that with demonology, again, the investigation and research of demonology is very similar to investigating general paranormal disturbances, such as poltergeist, which we've actually said, and hauntings.
Yeah, the only difference that I found is, I mean, I don't venture too much into what you might. Well, I have been involved in what you might call diabolical or traumatic, paranormal hauntings, and poltergeist infestations. They were even worse, actually. But only about a handful. Only a handful of them. And
Sorry.
most of the time, when people are involved in what you refer to as demonology, the investigation of it, it's exactly the same method, but there's more a spiritual and religious connotation to it. In other words, the spiritual side is that there's a series of prayers, series of protection, series of anti-invocation. There's also the fact that the religious connotations that come out regarding the ridding and protecting of people in that environment and the ridding of the phenomena. All in all, that is the only things that's different. The rest of it falls under the lines of paranormal investigation.
Yeah.
And how you want to attend.
As I say, it says here, in fact, demonology can actually incorporate such paranormal disturbances, making it sometimes initially difficult to categorise.
Well, that's very true. It is. I mean, we have to. There is a rule book. And I'm aware of this rule book. And actually, I'm right. I'm not. This is not a pun to sell my book, by the way. Honestly,
it just happened to fall in here.
It just happens to fall in. It's going in my new book. I want to hear about it. Honestly, no, it's not. But
Ben, are you listening?
With 30 years in the subject of investigating mostly paranormal phenomena, what I've found is there is a rule book. And this rule book is that the things that they do, the things that they don't, and how to identify certain things, and it's all going in the book. But very briefly, I can say that when disturbances first take place, normally you may refer to them as some form of haunting, be it translocational, localized, or residual. They're just different terminologies of the different types. And of course, taking into consideration, you've got outside residual effects, such as your Lancaster bombers, Peak District, and then you've also got on the smaller scale the Stonewall Theory phenomena. There was small residual captions. However, that might go into a different string of events, be it poltergeist infestations, but they always follow a pattern. There's always a progressive pattern, starting with audible disturbances, then onto object manipulation, then onto sightings of apparitions, be it all different types of things. Then obviously into physical interaction, then into manipulation, and you don't want to go any further than that. You start getting into the demonological side of 1, 2, and 3 then, and that's a whole different kettle of fish. But there seems to be different characteristics within different types of phenomena. When you first go on an investigation, that is why you've got to ask so many darn questions, because you've got to find out, and it's basically a deductive methodology, is what it isn't, as opposed to what it is. And if you can start chipping away at the block, eventually you're left with some core raw material, and that is what you've left with to make your conclusive, what you can conclude about what is taking place and how to treat it and the methodology of that investigation. But there are various different things, and you got to go into it and ask all those questions and look around, try and find those answers to find out, to determine what true phenomenon is taking place and how to best deal with it.
It is hard, though, isn't it?
Initially, it's very difficult,
A question for you two gentlemen. You mentioned demonic and diabolic. Are they two completely different things, or is there a fine line, or is it just down to faith?
No, they are two different references. I mean, demonic is in association to human possession. Diabolical is an association to the incidents taking place in the environment, not in the individual themselves. So in other words, if you've got what you may refer to as traumatic and diabolical type activity taking place in a home, it's a diabolical haunting. If you've got people which is experiencing certain things which you might refer to as demonic possession, which is a form of diabolical activity upon themselves, then it's known as demonic possession. So there is the two references. One's associated to the individuals, the other one's associated to the environment.
But couldn't the demonic possession cause the diabolic?
No, two different things. Because you can have demonic possession without any paranormal disturbances taking place, according to references. What do you think, Neil? Have you ever come across one without the other, or have you always had that taking place with paranormalities?
One's always come with the other.
One's always come with the other.
From what I've seen, from my example.
Well, there's been certain cases, and if you want to take the true account of what the Exorcist is based on, which is Robbie, the young boy, he was moved several to different relocations, to different churches and medical facilities. But the paranormal phenomena on 3 of those occasions completely was nothing going on. But the alleged demonic possession continued.
Yeah.
So you have to say sometimes there can be a non-association between the two. And if there is any evidence to support just one non-association, then it's not necessarily enough evidence to say it's always there. It just, most of the time, it will be. By chance factor alone, there will be. Probably about 90% of the time, but maybe about 10% of the incidents might say, well, it's happening, but no, we're not actually experiencing anything paranormal going on.
No.
So you can't completely tie the two together.
The thing you got to think about there as well is when you do get possession, they're not possessed 100% all the time.
No.
It comes and goes, so it's not there all the time. So you've got to sort of either bring it out, or you've got to wait for it to appear, or So it's again, it's mish and mash, and what a lot of people have said is. And I kind of looked at this, was all the paranormal stuff that's going on, who's to say that that's not that spirit that was possessing is not committing the other crimes that are going on?
You should have been a parapsychologist.
Maybe I might turn.
You're in the wrong subject, mate.
No, I just like to back up everything. I mean, you know how I work as a medium. I like to back everything up before I say anything. So
it's great.
Yeah. So, well, if you're wondering who these guys are we've got in the hub here, Neil Munnerley is actually a medium from Liverpool, and he's very often on our investigations with us because he is part of the UK Shadow Seekers team, along with myself and Steve.
Put your teeth back in, girl.
Yeah, my teeth are possessed. And we also have Steve Mehra, who is a parapsychologist. He's also the owner of Map-It, or he runs Map-It, and which I normally get moaned at, but I think I said it right, which is the Manchester Association of Paranormal Investigation Training.
Ooh, get you.
Yes! As well as very...
I've been training all night for that.
Yeah, I think so.
And he's also got his fingers in many other pies concerning parapsychology and also investigations. If you go on to our forum, he has his own little bit on the forum. It's the Steve Mehra Project, where you can go in there, where he's exploring parapsychology, he's doing paranormal stuff, he's doing supernatural, he's doing UFOs. So there's plenty of topics there for him to... Topics for you to go in and view, and I'm sure he'll be putting more on very, very soon. Right. So that's the Steve Mehra Projects, so he's there for you.
I've got a question here before it disappears up the thing here from Shaba. He's really good with his questions, he is, I tell you. Are you ready for this, guys? Why does faith destroy the demonic possession over time, yet i.e. from the exorcism through words alone, yet science evidence is getting there to prove there is no God? Please pick the bones out of that one.
Vinny says nobody has ever been able to prove whether God exists or not.
That's right. Yeah, there's no tangible evidence to support it.
A lot of skeptics say, I don't see, therefore it cannot exist.
But just because we ain't got evidence or something doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Unfortunately, that's the way science works.
Yes,
if they can't see it, touch it, or prod it, it doesn't exist.
It's simply we got to replicate and bench test it. That's the two main things that I was taught. You got replication and scientification. Those two things means that we've got to replicate it and bench test it, and it will. And if it happens once, it will happen again. It'll be repetitive, and that proves evidence that it exists.
In other words, see it, feel it, touch it, poke it, and
exactly.
And if you can't do that, it doesn't exist.
But the thing is, though, you know, not everything is that we can put our finger on it and say tangibly it exists. I mean, do you believe? Emotions exist.
Shabba.
You can't tangibly put your finger on them. We can't find them.
Only because I've experienced them.
Psychologists can't even find where the mind is. So if that is the case,
Shabbatar
believes, a tangible thing.
Shabbatar believes that Higgs boson is the proof to prove there is no God. Higgs. Oh, he's on for.
Go on.
Yeah,
I know where he's
is
going.
in the material that exists after the first 1/1000th of a nanosecond after the Big Bang.
Yeah.
Within 5 years, we will know whether we are where we are from.
Right. What's his name?
Shabbatar. Ian, to you. I believe that
Ian.
the Big Bang is the event horizon from a black hole.
Ian, you're spot on again.
Spelt Higgs boson wrong. Oh, I don't know. It's small on here.
It doesn't matter. But he's spot on. They are, and he's right. He's reading between the lines like a lot of people are, and what science is trying to prove is the non-existence of the hand of God in creation. And if we can prove that there's a scientific magnification of this, then we start to tear apart religion.
Ian actually joined us on Saturday as part of the group, and he's on trial with the UK Shadow Seekers, and he is quite scientific.
Yeah.
He's coming through that way.
And can I just say, from a religious point of view, there will always be someone that says God made that happen in the first place.
Yeah, of course will.
It's
like kids who always ask the question why. Well, why can't you do that? Because I said, why not? Because of this. And why not?
I hate kids that do
that. Well, they do. It's fantastic. But the problem is, it's called this.
Ethan does that a lot.
Circles and circles.
Every morning in the school run, it's 500 questions in the car in a space of 10 minutes. So it's.
Ian said he listens to a lot of Machio Kaku. Yeah, the professor who knows the answer for everything. You'll have to bear with me. It's quite small on there.
I love his little series. I've actually done some work with him. He's a great guy.
And he agrees with Susan Steve to me, the black hole. No. Vinny said a black hole will suck us all in eventually, then a big bang will happen again.
That's very likely, but what's more likely is that we'll probably create the darn thing ourselves.
He said, I agree with Steve, to me, the black hole theory can go on and on and on. Vinny said, explain instinct. What controls instinct?
Instinct.
Right, there are far bigger things at work. Some may call it God, but is it a force?
Instinct. Well, instinct is what we refer to as innate abilities, things that aren't taught. We find, the first thing that we find in babies is that something that is referred to as instinct is something that we haven't taught them, is that they have a fear of heights. An 8 or 9 month old child crawling across a glass floor will actually only take the path where there's black squares. It will not crawl over because there's depth to a room below. They have a series of survival instincts, and that is an innate ability. It's not a method of teaching, but it's there, and that is instinct, and that instinct is in us all. And not just that, but
also they say a newborn baby can actually swim.
They can.
Yeah, of course they can.
And breathe underwater.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, they don't in the sense
breathe
underwater.
Well, it's the same thing. They do it obviously while they're in the room.
Yeah, because they're obtaining their oxygen elsewhere. They don't have to use the lungs to do that. But because of that, the methodology of how the lungs work is that they can retain being underwater for longer periods of time than we can when we're older. It's just the methodology of how we're breathing changes.
They say that fear actually stands for future event appears real.
Oh, I've heard all these references, and God means gold, oil, and drugs.
That's what they say in past research.
Says, can you get him an autograph of
Michio or something?
Whatever his name is?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the last bit of work I did with him was regarding how to make a flying saucer. Does he remember that one?
I'm not sure. Do you remember that one? How to make a flying saucer?
Did you remember that one, Ian?
But as I say, we was told by the past
Hi, Nettie.
regressionist, Peter Wall, when he was on the show back in when we first started, he was talking about past regressions, and we touched on the fact of what hypnosis was all about, and he actually said that fear means, if you look at it, fear actually stands for future events appear real. So if you think, if I see a spider, I'm going to be scared, then when you see a spider, you're going to be scared.
Right. Okay.
You know, so that's what he thinks.
Right. Well, you know, fear is different in all of us.
Yes.
You know, what it represents.
Yes.
You know, but we can have fear of the unknown. You know, because I mean, how do we reference fear of the unknown?
I'm terribly sorry, but I know for a fact that if I'm going to see a spider, I am going to freeze.
Oh, are you an acrophobia?
I am very much an acrophobic.
Right. Now, you see, nowadays, you know, we take you through proper channeling of how to deal with that in a psychological manner.
Yes.
In old days, Freudian psychology would have you locked up in a room with 10 spiders.
I am telling me.
And referred to as the flooding technique. And after 10 hours of being there, you would not be afraid of spiders.
Oh, yes, I would.
Because
I'll be dead.
Of course, his methodology didn't go down with the humanities.
I would, because I think I'd be dead, actually. I would have died of a heart attack.
I mean, if I can't physically hold on to something, I'm scared of heights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I can grab hold of something, doesn't matter what
is it a form of vertigo? Do you get vertigo with that, or is it just fear heights?
Not particularly, I'm just scared of falling.
Remember that picture that went round Facebook? There was a glass footway round a mountain. And all it was glass, and you could see. Whoa, that was enough just seeing it.
That would make me nervous.
Oh yeah.
And despite the fact I can get hold of something, and despite the fact the glass is probably about 8 inches thick.
It's human nature to fear of heights. You know, it is human nature because, you know, we fear heights because it's dangerous. You know, if we fall from great height, we know we're going to die. So this innate feeling, this innate ability of we're very high and it's dangerous takes over. You know, it's just a normal response.
See, I've done nearly 3,000 parachute jumps from great heights and various ways of doing it.
3,000?
Yeah.
I did one when I worked in NATO, and that was only because of invasion of the country. and I got dragged through a field about 18 foot, so I did really well through the cowpatch, you know.
But going back on that, it's like, if I get on a plane now, I'm scared of flying, because I know what it's like to fall without a parachute, and whoever's flying out planes,
that's a learned response.
My life,
that's a learned response. Yeah. Fear through a learned response.
Yeah. We have some remarks on the Facebook.
We do, but quickly. Despite the fact that I'm scared of falling, I would like to do a parachute jump.
Would you?
Which doesn't seem to compute.
Well, mine was pulled out for me when I jumped out of Chinook. You know, so there was no cord I had to pull, thank heavens, because I would have been pulling it before I would have jumped off.
Now, Ghost Rider quickly reminds me that when it comes to the 8-legged variety, I actually do refer to them as Reddits. I prefer to read the word backwards because it's not so frightening. I couldn't see it on the TV, I couldn't watch it see a picture of it, it does feel...
Believe it or not, I have a phobia, but I'm not telling anybody.
Right.
Do you know, there is actually one thing that does frighten me, even though I've done 30 years of sitting in the most demonic places on earth in the dark on my own, waiting in the damp. I'm not frightened of ghosts, no.
He's frightened of the unknown.
Believe it or not, it's clowns.
Clowns? There's a lot of people.
I have clown phobia.
There are a lot of people.
So if there's ever an investigation of an apparitions of clowns, don't call me.
So it isn't a very good film for you.
I can't watch it.
Stephen's.
Yeah.
I can't watch anything.
Stephen King's it.
Yeah.
Right, so Chubba was saying here, I would love Steve Merritt to come on and invest with us. Well, we keep asking you when you're free.
Sorry, who's asked that?
Ian.
Chubba.
Oh, sorry, right.
We've always said about you coming on and invest if you're free, didn't we?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's just, well, you know, it's time, you know.
Of the Impossible Series 1.
Physics.
Sorry, Physics of the Impossible Series 1. I am in the process of watching. So I have not got to Steve's episode about how to build a flying saucer.
Okay, you'll get there eventually.
Vinny said they have a glass floor at the top of Blackpool Tower now.
They do, yeah.
He said Neil Grills.
Neil Grills. Yeah, thanks for that, Ian. Yes.
Sue, you're low vocally. Am I really? I better turn myself up then.
Okay.
So I'll turn that in a minute. Right, okay, so we'll check that again. You'll have to let me know, John. Can you hear me okay now, dear? Speak to me.
Yes.
So, let's wait for him to come out here,
He hasn't come back yet, but we can carry on.
Yeah,
I mean,
with the investigation, let's just sort of verify a few things in regarding the investigation, because we've all theorised about what demonic possession consists of. We've theorised the biblical side, we've looked at the 21st century side, we've looked how the media portray it, we looked how the differences on how people may start investigating it. But what about the actual investigation process? The investigation process, well, when we look at cases such as the Smill case, which took place in Pennsylvania, allegedly disturbances took place of what people refer to as a demonic nature, and what people generally believe is that what they want to do is disrupt, so to the point where they'll break down family units and leave certain individuals vulnerable, even to the point of obsession and possession of an individual. What do you think? What do you think, Neil? Is that the general?
That does happen.
Yeah, is that the general? Is that the general line that people think
again,
it takes?
Well, what you've just mentioned there are some of the biggest signs that they would look for of happening before they brought anybody in. And especially the bit of disrupting family life and causing arguments within the household, and even to a point where there's violence or abuse, or even bringing on depression.
There's definitely an association between that and a lot of paranormal incidents. If we actually look at a little lesser of the subject, such as poltergeist infestations, the amount of statistical surveys that point the same conclusive answer over and over again is that people who have what is referred to as the most authenticated poltergeist infestations or experiences are families which are under some form of duress, vexation, stress, financial difficulties, those sort of things. And it is those people who seem to have those problems. Now, what people have often said to me, and what people have suggested is evidence, I haven't found enough of it, but I believe that there could be something to it, is that they say that the most people with demonic possession affects those which are most devout. So the more devout a person is, the more chances that they'll experience something like that than somebody who isn't devout. I don't know. I looked at the information. I see that there's allegedly some incidents reported which are non-associated to devout Catholics and things like that. But then you got the Kalata Moran case. This is another pseudonym for the Entity film. We've seen, those who have seen the Entity film, was based on a woman, and she was a devout Catholic, and so were the Smill family are devout Catholics, and there's quite a number. One that wasn't was a Jackie Hernandez case, which was something completely different as well. So, what do you think?
The cases I worked on were all devout.
They are
because of the reason. The only reason why I know that is because they would get the church in first, and the church was. Obviously, they would get me in. So
that's great to fall on to our second bit then. Because the second bit then is that how to look at it two different angles. We're at a crossroad now, right, and we can turn left or right. And the thing is that where do we go from that point? Do we consider taking a left turn and saying, okay, that demonic phenomena interacts with these individuals because they are devout, and if they are to win, it's a bigger win, or we take a right turn and say, okay, it is their belief in God and all that which has driven them to the belief that they are demonically possessed because of them being devout. What do you reckon?
I'm sort of 50-50 with that. I'll sit on the fence, because if you're talking to a person who believes that, say, one of their children is possessed, okay, and they believe something's going on at home and it's breaking up the family, etc., etc., because of Hollywood, etc., and everything else concerned with that, the first port of call that they would look for is, well, let's get the vicar in. Let's get the local church involved, because we need to get rid of this. And the only method that we know is obviously the vicar will get rid of this. There's that part of it to look at. I have worked on some smaller things which, the family haven't been devout, but not to such extreme as the devout. Well, I say devout side, but I'm talking Christian, Church of England, Catholic, they're not, So I sat on the fence with that one. I just think that a lot of the cases I worked on, the only reason why they got the church involved is because they thought it was the only channel to go down.
Interesting though, isn't it?
It is very interesting.
Come across the same picture on both sides, but two different possible conclusions of which way you'd want to go on that. One thing is for sure that through references, there is definitely a lot of information suggesting that towards the evidence that the more devout, the more persecution. Which interestingly falls into the religious aspect, is that those that are more devout, it's the punishment for being devout in this plane of existence, should we say, the terrestrial plane, as what we're in now. But, then you've always got that argument against and for it, so it's a difficult one.
I have a quick question there, one from me and one from Shabba there. So would you say that because they're devout, it tends to make the situation worse because of their beliefs?
I think, and this is my opinion, I think that sometimes they can make the situation worse because they're devout, because they're so afraid of what they're sort of implying as a demon. So because if they are so devout, this is the devil, this is demonology at its best. So my son or my daughter is possessed by the devil, or I think the more devout, the more they're scaring themselves, and they're making the
we're never going to get away from the theory of demonic possession or the devil getting in. We're never going to get away from that because it's in tradition, it's in our it's in everyday life. We see
Santa Claus. It's as well known as Santa Claus. So,
when as I mentioned last time, placing your hand over your mouth when you yawn, that it wasn't introduced as a thing for it's bad manners if you do that. It's a matter of it was keeping the devil out. Why do we say bless you when you sneeze? Because you've opened your mouth to a certain degree that letting the devil in, and blessing you would get that devil out. The process of these things are still here today in the 21st century, but utilised and twisted to something that is not the same as what it was generally originated from. We're never going to get away from it because it's as long as we believe in some type of heavenly spirit, or be it God, there'll always be the opposite. So
it's, as I say, going back to the sorry, Steve, just to interject a sec. Going back to the religious side of it, it always reminds me of a case that we never did do because they never got back to us. But they were saying that the partner was getting scratches and stuff like this and blah, 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 blah. And when they went to their vicar, or their priest, they actually said, so they must have been Catholic, I assume, they actually turned around, the guy actually turned around and said, it's because of your past, you're being punished. Not a good way to say that, I don't think that's right.
I mean,
this is referred to as retro persecution, and it's not something that they should say.
And she did say to me, because of his devoutness, he didn't really want to. She said, I don't know what else to do, but he's so devout, he don't feel as though I should bring you in. You know what I mean? But this is what his priest told him.
Well, and basically, all he had done wrong in the past was he used to take drugs.
Exactly. It's wrong. But let's not get mixed up here. The fact is that priests, we all have this vision of what priests do and what priests don't. At the end of the day, most of them are just normal guys, and they'll do just exactly the same, and manipulate a situation at the best of times. And the amount of arguments that we've had and official letters that have gone out in complaint of how priests have manipulated witnesses, just so that they can come to church, and told them that and to give you an example, a young couple that got married, and we were investigating a case where they moved into a large house in Middleton, and they were only in the 20s, but because of the central heating system, the periodic sounds, the unawareness of the house sounds, the interest in the paranormal field, the misinterpretation of moving items and getting where they put them, they believed they were paranormally orientated. They went to the local church, the vicar came out, vicar told them they had a terrible dark spirit in the house which is going to cause them some problems, and they should attend church on a regular basis. When we actually got in touch with him, first off, he lied because he denied even knowing people. And we were there actually on one occasion when he was actually talking to them over the phone. And we sent an official complaints letter in there, and his next guy up defended him. So basically, you've got this hierarchy of say, oh, let's not put us in a bad light. You know, don't manipulate a situation, you know, and turn something into something bad.
Would you say, sorry, Steve, would you say it would be best then?
Can I just say, though, for anybody listening,
yeah,
that doesn't apply to all of them.
No.
You know, it only applies to some of them.
Would it be best to then say that if the church, for one, you know, to group it, so to speak, if there is some sort of demon possession, a bit like the police really, if they're getting, look, we're having this, that and the other, instead of disturbing them and letting them do what they've got to do, they pass it on to people like us, the paranormal investigators. We do the research, blah, 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 blah. We find out whether it is normal everyday stuff, so we're not wasting the authorities' time, such and such.
I think the principal thing is...
And then the church come in at the most extreme when we say, right, exorcism.
Yes, I think you're kind of 50-50 there. I think you're right on the latter part.
Yeah.
I think I would not necessarily call in paranormal investigators initially. I think what we need to do is establish on the medical science, such as we have to bring in psychologists, and we have to look at what feasibly could be taking place, because that is going to be the most popular thing.
Yeah, because the first place they go to, if it's not the church, it's a paranormal group.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and most of them will have a stabbing in the dark about it. But seriously though, the first thing they need is a psychologist on board to see if they can psychologically rule out, you know, the materialisation of, you know, the phenomena being a medical condition.
Yeah, but there we have another problem.
Paranormal investigators should deal with paranormal activity.
Yeah, but if you bring in psychologists in first, they're going to think, well, you're saying I'm nuts.
Yes.
Also, if you're going to be bringing paranormal groups in, then there has to be some control there on the groups, because to be honest, some of them are not even worth the name. When it comes to this sort of thing,
what you're missing at the start is 9 times out of 10 the church will not bring anybody in, for the simple reason is they don't want to look like the failure.
Yeah, but how many people have turned to the
priest out
church
there
first,
who would actually admit to not being able to do his job, what he's supposed to be trained to do, you know. And
most people turn to paranormal investigators before the church.
Do you want to do your bit there?
Yeah, I will. There's a couple of things coming in here first. So I'll do Ian's one first. He said Jackie Hernandez was the first evidence of the rod phenomena. Sorry for bringing up last week. We were on orbs and things last week. And he said, has Steve seen the footage taken after she moved from the home with the dodgy attic?
I have. I've got all the footage. I've actually got the original photographs and video, original testimony, and I also know he's a good friend of mine who did the investigation, and Barry Taff, who ran the whole thing, is also a parapsychologist in the same department in the US as me. So I obtained all that stuff. You know, I've obtained a lot of their stuff, which was really good.
And was
but
it
the Jackie Hernandez case is
was
actually
it dodgy?
more to it than what you actually even know.
Was the attic that dodgy? Well, he said the dodgy attic footage, so was it?
There was a bit of dodgy attic footage. I have to
and how dodgy was it?
Some of it was quite dodgy, but other events there were paranormalities going on. Let's just put that. But sometimes you get the icing put on the cake, and it's not the parapsychology department's problem. It's they haven't done it. What you do is you have independent guys associated to the parapsychology department which run paranormal organisations of their own, and they go in video cameras and audio stuff, and they might manufacture the odd bits and bobs to make them look good in a sense of the eyes of the parapsychology department. However, at the end of the day, people don't notice that. They just see parapsychologist Barry Duff or Kerry Gaynor associated with this, and then they find on later that's a little bit dodgy. But don't blame those guys. Don't blame the parapsychologists, because it's not parapsychologists out there doing the filming and doing the videoing. I wouldn't, as a parapsychologist. I wouldn't be there. I'd appoint somebody to do that. I'm not going to do that. But, you know, if they can't be truthful and they want to make a big picture up for me and say, oh, didn't they do really well in the eyes of the parapsychology department, and later on they find that that's a little bit dodgy, then don't blame me, you know, don't blame me. And that's just what's exactly happened with those, you know, and it happens.
Yeah.
You know, everybody wants their little piece of claim to fame these days.
Yeah. Dark Angel, I'm not sure if that's Kelly, actually.
Yeah, I think it is.
But she's brought something up, hasn't she?
Yeah, she said, I'll get it from the start here. A friend has a 4-year-old son, which thought at the time a demon was following him, as he used to growl for no apparent reason, and he used to say there was a nasty man in my bedroom, and he threatens. I've got to move down again. Threatens me if I ever said anything to anyone or my mum. his eyes went black once, and that's when they called in the vicar and got involved. Have we just lost the...
Yeah, I think we just lost the feed, so... yeah, we're back again.
Was it successful?
I'll read that bit again, because...
Just read that again.
Yeah. Where was we? If you ever... his eyes went black once, and then that's when his mum called the vicar in. They have since moved from their flat. She says, I have pics on my phone to prove it. It is, and I haven't got any more, so I can't actually say whether...
it is Kelly, she's saying.
Oh, it is Kelly, right.
What do you think, Neil?
So I can't actually say whether...
Some of that does sort of ring that I would definitely look into, because I mean, the thing with the eyes going black, I mean, I have seen that, but that's just been a case of they've been afraid and the pupils have dilated, you know. But it does look, if you're in low light, it does look like their eyes have gone black, you know. But you've got to look at that very closely. But the growling is a giveaway. If it's a kid that's growling,
one quick second, Kelly, can you let us know if getting the vicar in actually worked, and I'll let Neil go back on.
Yeah, the growling. Usually, the growling comes from not the child, but whether the child's possessed or whether there's something in the bedroom. The growl is quite common, and it's just a heavy growl or a loud growl. And it's basically there to scare you off. You know,
generate fear.
Fear, and it would generate.
You have to work out at the end of the day. Most of the paranormal phenomena are fear feeders. You know, they fear their food is some form of energy, be it emotional energy taken from the people in the environment, be it batteries or leeching onto an electrical system. Whatever they can leech off to survive at the end of the day, and that's all they really want to do. If they can generate enough fear and emotions in us so that we are literally generating that on a vicious cycle which goes round and round, because they feed on it, generate the next paranormal event only for you to see, because they won't generate paranormal events which are wasted actions, you know, because it'll be a completely wasted time. And then you see that again, you build up emotion, vexation, stress and fear, and again the vicious cycle goes on and on and on. Maybe it's just as simply that the fear, you know,
it could be. I mean, looking into that, I would say, yeah, probably something has been there, but it's not been what we think it is. You know, it's not been what they think it is.
I think sometimes some things can lie dormant. And then what basically happens is it takes a certain individual or a certain set of events to take place to trigger. And these trigger responses, you have to try and work out what the trigger responses are.
She's come back.
Yeah, she's come back and said,
a few jokes as well.
no, he was useless.
I thought that. I thought, you know, only 12% of them are successful. What's that tell you?
She said he done a prayer, but that didn't do anything. His mum wanted to move, and then Sheba said, Madonna did a prayer too.
But this is it, you know. I'm not sure.
See, when you're talking to a child who's 4 years old, who's very open to spirit, very relaxed, and you know, and can even be a target for spirit to leech onto, and they're a very easy target because they're so open. That who's to say that it's a bad spirit? Who's to say that it's not their granddad or great uncle or?
You're the child trying to interpret it.
Exactly.
Trying to interpret something.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked, and I mentioned to you last week about how parents deal with things like that, and sometimes rather than turn around, and I tell them now, and it's a bit of good advice this from a psychological point of view, when you actually explaining to your son or daughter about these things, do not tell them that these things don't exist. What you've got to do is say, basically, you said, well, it's okay, they're not here to hurt you, because what happens is by telling them that they don't exist, then they've got to try and interpret the sensories, perceptions that they have. And being told that they don't exist builds up more vexation in children, which are trying to make sense of something that doesn't exist. So basically, you have to sort of downplay it and say, look, it's not there to hurt you, and see where we go from that. What do you think?
So, I mean, I'll give you an example. My son is 6, and he's sensitive. And he came to me a few months ago. I've seen a lady walk through the kitchen, and he was calling this lady a zombie. And he was scared. You know, he was shaking and scared, and he slept in my bed for a good number of nights after he'd seen this lady. Well, sort of weeks later, he's seen her again, and I just asked for a description. And what it was my grandmother, and she had a wine stain. It was quite a red patch around her eye. It was quite a big wine stain. But to him, she would look the way he described it, how her eye was hanging out, and she looked like a zombie, So he was just sort of relaying what he was thinking in his own mind, because he's that.
Can I ask you how you explain that though? I mean, how do you deal with your son like that? Do you get some acceptance to it that they're not there to hate?
I try and,
or do you actually say they don't exist?
Oh no, I say they do exist. And I've done that with all my children.
That's it, and that's the best psychological approach to do.
Yeah.
Right, well, we're going to have a break with the Paranormal Events for You. Before I do, Wendy says hi to everyone, my sister. Okay, we got quite a few on the chat room. We had, I don't know where it referred to, but somewhere back further, we were talking about something or other, and Vinny said, who was the priest Glenn Hoddle? So I don't know whether anyone knows the relevance of that. I certainly don't.
He said it was a joke. Did nobody get it?
Yeah, I didn't get it, to be honest with you.
I missed that one.
So sorry, Vinny, we missed that one.
What's it got to do with football?
So happy anniversary to Wendy.
Happy anniversary, Wendy.
Yeah, happy birthday.
And John. So I hope you.
John, not forgetting John.
Yeah, not forget John. We're going to go.
I presume it's a wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
People have divorce anniversaries these days.
Yes, I know. I did have one. I hope you've had a good day. Happy anniversary. I'm sorry.
Give us a date. We'll send you a card.
I was going to send you a card.
It's the only night of the year I go out and get drunk.
So I'll speak to you soon. Right, we're going to go with the Paranormal Events for You, and we'll see you after the break. Thank you. Fed up of wading through the activities and events that other advertisers include? Find just what you're looking for at paranormaleventsforyou.com, your one-stop paranormal directory.
On the 20th of the 7th, North Notts Paranormal are after the Galleries of Justice in Nottingham. On the 21st of the 7th, there's a Psychic Night at the Park Inn in Harlow. On the 28th of the 7th, Night Vision Paranormal are off to Fort Amherst in Chatham, Kent. On the 4th of the 8th, the 4th Annual British Exopolitics Expo at the Static Gallery in Liverpool. On the 11th of the 8th, UK Shadow Seekers are off to the Thackeray Museum in Leeds. And if you have an interest in cryptozoology, here's one for you. On the 17th of the 8th, there's the Weird Weekend 2012 at Wolfardsworthy Community Centre in Bideford, Devon. Also on the 17th of the 8th, Spit are off to the Moat House in Tamworth. And on the 25th of the 8th, Night Vision Paranormal are off to Harwich Redoubt Fort in Harwich. And for more information on these events and many more, go to paranormaleventsforyou.com.
So check out the one-stop paranormal directory for more investigations and events available now. Paranormaleventsforyou.com also offers banner advertising for only £10 per year. See our website for more details. Paranormaleventsforyou.com, your one-stop paranormal directory.
That's it. Don't say it was on all the time, but never mind. Don't think so.
Well, you turn the slider down, so you'll be okay.
Yeah. So welcome back. That was the paranormal events for this week coming up. So we're not much left for the show now.
I feel I have to put something in defence of the everyday priest.
Oh yes.
Vicar, synagogue, whichever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Am I right in thinking that your everyday priest around the corner at the church wouldn't necessarily know how to deal with what we're talking about here?
No, you're right there. Most certainly right. Most priests, your everyday priests, don't know how to do their own job.
So but if you call the local vicar in, all he's really going to do is do a prayer and do a little blessing for the house.
People used to always think it's always best going to the Catholics because they have the best methodology of dealing with such things, be it the diocese and all that sort of thing. But that's not always the case. I mean, I've dealt with Methodist churches and numerous other ones, and they all have a certain methodology of doing things, and some of them are successful just as much as they are, not successful in some cases. So it doesn't really matter. But what I will say is that if you go to a Catholic church, the likelihood is you have to get permission to do so. To be involved in that. But nevertheless, though, they're all pretty much the same. But you'll find that the everyday sort of your local church guy is not going to jump on board straight away.
There is one that I would like to defend, and I've worked with him a couple of times. He's a very old guy. He must be in his, if he's still around, that is, he must be in his 90s now. But it's Canon Eva. He knew stuff. I mean, he was 70 odd when I did some work with him.
I mean, we use handfuls of different individuals.
But even then, you're saying canon, so he wasn't your everyday priest.
No.
He was somebody higher up in the church
that
knew
well,
what they were doing.
He, although he knew his stuff, he would still ask me to come in. So, you can put that how you like, really.
Well, to me, that would say that. He wasn't single-minded. He was prepared to work from two different directions.
He was High Church of England, Canon Eva.
Interesting. Because rarely do you actually get Catholic priests working with mediums, and it's just basically because they're so devout within the scriptures, and the scriptures have 7 references in the Bible about
most cases
about mediumship and not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was always High Church of England. That I did, work for. They're very similar to Catholic anyway. The High Church of England,
some of them are really good.
Can I just clear something up here? Right, apparently the Glenn Hoddle joke that we missed, apparently Glenn basically said disabled people must have sinned in a previous life. Yeah. Apparently, according to Wikipedia, he said, I can't remember where he heard it from, but he said it was on Wikipedia and he lost his job because of it. Somebody said he is a spiritualist.
I know about it, and I know the person that made the statement, and yes, it was deserved.
Yes.
And yes, he was a radio... I'm not going to say too much.
No, that's fine.
It was a person who worked with the radio.
Yeah, but that's where that comes into it. Shabba agrees with you on something. No, sorry. No. Dark Angel agreed with you on whatever you said. Dark Angel also said thanks, Neil, for answering her question. Okay, and Shabba did say, why has there been a 1,000% increase in exorcisms since 2009?
Because there's been a 2,000% increase in the subject of the paranormal.
Basic?
As simple as that.
Simple as that.
It is. Sometimes it is as simple as that. Sometimes I don't need to give a big long thing,
Cut
it is,
dry.
isn't it, Neil? That's exactly it. The interest.
So basically what we're saying is the more we know,
the more
we hear about it.
If you look in the last 6-7 years, how much the paranormal on TV has grown, and how many more people in the population now know about paranormal activity, paranormal, paraphernalia, paranormal groups.
Paranormal groups, because
the
of
subject is growing.
The subject has gone through the roof.
But that doesn't necessarily mean. Well, it doesn't necessarily mean to me that exorcisms would go up.
Yeah, but it gives people more of awareness about the subject. So they're then going to turn around and say, well, I think this is going on because of what I've seen on the television.
You're taking 1,000 people, an example, and educating them in the field of it, and saying then afterwards how many people have that retain the interest.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And it is growing. It is a growing subject.
Yeah,
but not necessarily saying it's a good thing. Just as we had a growing interest in the ufological stuff. Yeah. When X-Files came on and Spielberg's Close Encounters movie.
Yeah.
A lot of these things are media driven.
Yeah.
Just like
and again, media driven, because of the media. Are we getting more people that are thinking on the lines that maybe I am getting paranormal activity, I am seeing a UFO
all the time,
and that's where it's all.
And it doesn't help when you've got newspapers that are piling out absolute garbage.
Yes.
Lying, and they know they're lying.
Yes.
And putting out this garbage which people are reading. And emphasising the productivity of the paranormal phenomenon.
And not only them,
an engine.
Not only them, there are individuals out there that think it is funny to fake pictures.
Do you know what really makes
videos.
it's true? But do you know what really makes me laugh at the end of the day? It's not about everybody's into photographs and videos and stuff, But people that are truly interested in the paranormal, I always ask them one question: is that have they ever been into a parapsychological department? The answer is no.
No.
And 99% of them haven't. And my question is, why not? Because if you're interested in the paranormal, that's your starting point.
Yes.
And it's surprising how they just don't even take that on board.
It needs to be people used to say to me, if you're into ghost hunting, for want of a better word, and the paranormal, you can't be a parapsychologist, but you can.
Of course you can.
You have to be.
The fundamentals of parapsychology is, you're going to be studying PK, telepathy, clairvoyance,
you're feared.
Behavioural sciences and stuff like that.
People like you are feared in this sort of criteria.
It's not necessary.
I know.
It's not necessary because we've been given this stigma.
I know you have.
It's just wrong.
They come along.
I know a lot of people who'd fear you.
Do you know why? Because there's certain faces in media that are supposed to represent parapsychologists. And I'm not going to say his name.
No.
But he's not. He may be the face of parapsychology on TV, but he's not the word. And I've said this before.
Precisely.
And I had a massive rant last week on Planet X about this guy because he just won't come to the table and challenge me.
No.
And I have challenged him over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Regarding numerous cases, and he won't because he's a medium-driven guy who's paid to do and say what he's supposed to say. He's not the word of parapsychologist. A lot of people out there have really got this bad stigma about parapsychologists, And I've had a lot of people approach me and say, well, we just don't trust you.
No.
And so, well, why not? Because you're a parapsychologist. I said, well, what is it not to trust? It's rather black or white. We're not sociologists. There's no grey area, like sociologists have. Rather evidence for it, or there isn't, And we're there to assist and we're there to help.
Yeah.
But we're also there to help them put them on the right track and the best way to do it. Because if some people are going to go out there and investigate paranormal and they're going to retain, there's always that chance, get something which is really fundamentally fantastic.
Yeah.
What are they going to do with it?
Not a lot.
What use is it if it's stuck up in the file and can't do nothing with it? Are they going to submit it to an establishment? Because that's what's really necessary to advance this subject in parapsychology and the investigation process.
Everyone's still after that money for that one bit of evidence.
They won't get it.
Because that's what they're like, they're
never
all
get hold of Randy's back.
I
don't even think Randy's even got his million
I've
anymore.
got the picture.
I think Randy will die before anybody does.
I've proved it.
In fact, Randy will probably die. Come back to a meeting.
I'll have it.
I'll tell you where my money is.
I have a question, and to be honest, I'm not sure either of you should answer it.
All right, okay.
If you think that you have a demonic problem and you want to get in touch with the church to get an exorcism done, where do you go? How do you start?
Do you go down that road? Do you go somewhere else first, or do you go back to what I said?
I mean,
here we go.
We've stopped him.
That stopped us all in our tracks.
The reason I say I'm not sure you should answer it because I obviously don't want.
I'll be completely honest.
I don't want the church to be inundated with.
No. My opinion is some people have, because of their beliefs, more of a comfort if their priest was around or if their priest was involved. Okay, and if that's just for advice, okay. My own sort of advice would be to not go to the church, and that's my own belief. So take that how you like it, but that's my opinions and beliefs.
My opinion? Do you want personal or professional?
Both.
The personal opinion is, I would say, if it seeks giving comfort, like what just Neil was saying, there can be rewarding benefits from that. However, it can also be a psychological damaging point. And that leads me to a professional opinion, which be no.
No.
I would advise them to talk to a parapsychology department before even contacting anybody in the paranormal field, to get to see if they can eliminate the possibilities.
Because then you
some
can
of these
pass
things
that
can be solved and sorted out without the need of the church.
I'm sorry, gentlemen, but neither one of you have answered my question.
Well, the thing is, if you're going to go to a church, Steve,
I didn't.
And have an exorcism done.
No.
You've got to believe in it in the first place.
No, that wasn't the question.
Was the question.
What's
the question was, where do you go?
I'm not going to blooming say. Forget it.
Send them to the parapsychology
department. Come and see me. Get in touch with me, right? But the fact is, I'm not going to do that because I don't think it's the right thing to do.
So the right avenue would go to somebody like an organisation like yourself.
Well, go to somebody who can eliminate the possibilities.
Yeah. And then you can pass it then on to a reputed paranormal group to go in and research
or even contact with necessary churches if necessary.
Yeah.
If they need, if we believe it'll be fundamentally good for them. The fact is, though, 99% of people are going to go head flying into that subject with the church.
Yes.
When really there could be a 50% chance that they could be rectifying this problem in the medical condition.
Yes.
Exactly.
Or an electrical condition.
Well, let's just eliminate the process first rather than go in the wrong direction, because sending them in the wrong direction will twist their belief system straight away.
But this is it, because going back to the EMF system, right, if you're getting too much EMFs, it can give you dizzy spells, it can make you nauseous,
it can do lots of different
and
things,
this, that and the other, and you could think that you're being pushed, you can think you're being touched and stuff like that, and you would then think, oh my God.
It's not even EMF, as we found recently. Microwave can do the same thing.
Microwave detection, microwave effects. It affects the brain, you see.
Yeah.
The brain and how it functions. And those functions are of our senses, and we rely on them to tell us the truth in the visual and auditory world. And if we can't rely upon that to do that, then what is real and what isn't?
But then again, can we rely on our brain and our senses to tell us the truth?
We have to rely upon them.
I know,
that's what we've already innately had.
I know we have to, but can we rely on them? I mean, how many times can our senses lie to us?
They lie to us every day. In fact, you'd be surprised how often our senses do. In fact, they're lying to you now, because your visual range, is only a certain length.
Yeah.
It goes to 72% either side. Your peripheral vision doesn't even exist.
No.
Your peripheral vision, when you think you see something out of the corner of your eye when you're looking forward, doesn't even there. It's not there. It's that the brain makes the rest of it up there. The brain knows what's here on the wall, so it puts it there for you in its peripheral vision. If you actually go into a location and blindfolded, and then suddenly take that blindfold off and ask them what's in the peripheral vision, you'll get zero information much back. The fact is that the brain puts that information there. Why do people see more things in the peripheral vision? Because it's not really there. It's in what you refer to as the mind's eye. The subconscious side of it.
Now, I'd like to go and do this sort of show in a paranormal activity place, just to see whether we picked anything up over the mics. That would be good. That would be quite interesting, I think. Well, I'm afraid it's time to come to the end of the show. It's supposed to be 2 hours long.
Well, you know what? We've hit the demonology quite hard.
That will be the day.
Yes, we have. I know. I don't care how long it goes on for, to be honest with you, because it's an ongoing subject. The paranormal.
I'm sure at some stage we'll end up back on it again.
Yes.
It does circle.
Yes. But as I said to you, if you go into our forum, into our discussion area, you don't have to register. You can read the topics there, but if you do want to opinionate or put your views across, then you will have to join the forum. There's plenty there to choose from. The KTPF Community Show part of the forum, you can answer there, and you can put your questions forward for the following week, no matter what they are. And there's also a video footage view there, so if we've talked about anything that mentions some sort of page or whatever, then you can go there and find the link to have a look for yourself. Okay, and there's also other show topics. There's a lounge area for you to introduce yourself. If you're a paranormal group or a medium or a psychic or anything like that, you can also do the same there and put your topics in as well to share your theories and your experiences.
Or even just Joe Blogs. You don't have to be part of anything.
Oh no, this is it. You don't have to be anything. You can just be Joe Blogs. We have things there like the paranormal investigation method and equipment. We have also the special guest forums, which includes, as I said before, Steve Merrer's projects, and also the Richard Freeman Chronicles. Richard Freeman is a cryptozoologist. Okay.
No, one there.
There's plenty of paranormal discussion through there, from ley lines and cryptozoology, angels and everything, even up to UFOs and urban legends, which could be another subject that we could talk about, and various other topics as well. Don't forget, next week we will be back on the KTPF show, and you can talk to us.
All going well. I think we should hit a subject which is not often discussed about very often, but I think it would be quite an interesting topic to ask the question as where we came from. Where did humans come from?
Oh.
Yeah, I think that would be a very, very good debatable subject.
Well, yes, I've heard of 3 theories.
It also falls into the anti-Darwinism theory, or Darwinism theory.
I've heard of 3 theories on that, actually. That 1, we could be aliens, and 2, we could come from little things like on the advert when you got, what's his name? Sammy Davis Jr. singing, sort of thing, and,
We came from a pea soup.
Well, I think it's a workable subject.
Oh yeah,
it's not next week; it's week after or whatever.
Yeah,
it'll fall hand in hand with Bigfoot, believe it or not.
Yes, it will.
Crazy connection, but
definitely. We will be talking about UFOs as well somewhere along the line, including Men in Black and aliens, which will probably get us back on the paranormal again, and to say, well, are we, like Ashley says, getting spirits? Communications and messages from aliens, so you never know. It's all intermingles with everything, the paranormal.
Like I say to Ashley, I have one answer to that, and it doesn't matter whether it's an alien, a spirit, a demon, or Joe Blogs next door. I receive the messages the same way, so it doesn't matter to me.
And as I said, we have got a guy coming on soon from America, Ohio. He will be joining us, I think it's on the 1st of August.
Yes.
His name's Brian D. Parsons. And let me just find...
Is he a parapsychologist?
I'll tell you exactly what he is.
In some of the fields.
Let me just see where he is.
I can't find a listing for him.
You cannot. Right, okay. I'll tell you exactly what he says. He says he's from Ohio, USA. He has been involved in the anomalous topic since 1996, and I began to research physical research and parapsychology.
Yeah.
From there, I was nominated the lead of a team which I have kept going for 16 years. Over the course of this time, I have investigated other areas of the anomalous UFO and cryptozoology cases. He's written 3 books on the paranormal group operation and have another similar book geared towards cryptozoology in the works, amongst other projects. He's provided the weekly Paranormal News Insider report on the Grand Dark Conspiracy, which airs on the Shark Radio Network every Monday night. It also airs on Tuesday nights as well, apparently. I have appeared on numerous internet radio shows and paranormal conventions in the US, mainly speaking on how the field needs to evolve in a better direction.
Well, that we can agree on.
Okay, in the June of this year, at the first Forensics Ghost Excavation Convention, I unveiled my E4 method of client-centered paranormal research. This method uses a blend of traditional science, parapsychology, psychology and new techniques. My hope is that teams will see the subjective approach used by an overwhelming majority of teams needs to evolve to be more true scientific approach.
I like it.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
He's going to come on the 1st of August and discuss that with us. Hopefully Steve Moore is going to be here. It's going to be the battle of the parapsychologists.
Yeah, I have read a little bit of his method, and to be perfectly honest, ourselves as UK Shadow Seekers and Steve, from what I've heard him say that he does, we actually use a lot of the methods already.
Well, we've been doing that, everything and some, for a lot longer than before he actually started his research.
Yeah,
but his methods is supposed to include FBI methods and all that.
Yes, as I say, if you go into the website, he has put a little introductory to the E4 method.
It's certainly interesting. It's certainly worth a look at.
Yeah, and he said that he feels that over time the paranormal investigation aspect was lost, and most groups are a subjective ghost hunting methodologically.
I do agree.
Methodology towards centred cases. And his goal is to bring back the parapsychology method used for decades, as well as a new method of investigation and interviewing.
We never lost it, guys. Parapsychologists never stopped doing our work.
Perhaps they did in America.
I must say this, and there's not a great deal we can do about it when we do our public events. The scientific and the science method does go right down a lot.
Well, of course
it does.
Because we can't control everything.
The environment.
No.
Can't control the methodology.
And from that side of it, it's purely geared for our members to experience something, even if it's just how to do it.
Yeah.
And obviously we have people like Neil and that with us that stands back and lets them do their bit first.
Yeah.
And then he'll say, well, I can confirm what you're getting because I'm getting the same thing and vice versa.
We don't do them.
What you're doing is no different than how parapsychology works.
As I say,
the environment
we don't do the investigations. Our team leaders and our team, we coax them to do it. We get them to call out. We get them to be a paranormal investigator for the night. Yeah. That is our goal, And we've always said to them that whatever they get, we can't guarantee the paranormal will happen.
Well, there are no guarantees.
No, and
unless you're on
we can't
guarantee TV shows.
Yeah, we normally say we can't guarantee the bumps and bangs, and if we do get any paranormal activity, it's a bonus. But 9 times out of 10, to be honest with you, it's a personal thing. You may feel a brush, a cobwebbing on your face. You may feel, playing with your hair. Somebody may say, which we've had on occasion, I've just had my top tugged. Somebody's just grabbed my hand. This, that, and the other. But it's all personal to them.
Yeah.
And if they can take that away, then fair enough.
It's when we do the team ones, we can be because we know where everybody is.
Yes.
And we can also leave people in the hub watching.
That's why we like to do team events when we get the chance.
Yeah.
It's getting everybody else together at the time. Yeah. So, there is a team event I would like to do, and you mentioned it last week, which you said you might know about when trying to do a certain little place in Manchester Town Centre. So maybe we might hear something about that. So,
right outside it, right past it.
And you forgot.
No, I didn't.
That'd be fun.
But anyway, if that happens, that would be great. But that will just be a team one anyway. So, but
it would be a team one. But I'm actually looking forward to one that Steve comes on, and hopefully it will be a team one because then we can see some of the procedures that he would put in place.
Yeah, he can give us his opinions on where we should be going and stuff if we did a team one. And then it would be nice to have him on a public one as well, so we can see how we work at a public one as well.
Because I'm sure there's a lot of controls that we could put in and don't.
Yes. Yes, this is it.
There's always ways of bettering things.
And at the end of the day, it's all a learning curve, no matter how good or how bad you are.
Do you know what? I've been in the subject for 30 years and I'm still learning.
Yeah. And you do learn by doing. I've always said that.
Did we not talk about that earlier on at
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah, we did. We did.
Because what everybody has to remember in this, there's not a right and wrong way of doing things.
No.
There's a right way of getting information, but there's not a right and wrong way of actually doing what we do.
No. Which is what KTPF is all about, because at the end of the day, a lot of animosity comes in between groups, but we're all doing the same thing and trying to get the same thing out of it. So I can't see where the problem is, to be honest with you.
I can't
Apart from competition.
But we need groups out there to come on and tell us what they do, where they are, how they do things, so other people can go, yeah, well, that's a good idea, we'll try that.
Yeah, and share each technique and what they experienced at the same time. That's what it's all about. That's what the KTPF is all about, keeping it friendly.
We're not always going to agree with what they do, but there's always going to be parts of what they do that we're going to go, well, maybe that's a good idea.
Plus, it's also a chance for them to give themselves a little bit of a
boost
prop,
the group
and
up.
they can boost the group up and promote their own group, you know what I mean, and tell people where to find them, Like Neil Munnerley, he's a medium, but he's got a website as well, haven't you?
I certainly have.
Yeah.
I certainly have.
And what is your website?
NeilMunnerley.com.
Hey, you remembered. And you
very hard to not remember.
Very hard, that isn't it?
And you've got your own website as well.
7. Which one do you want? I don't know. Which one do you want?
If you Google Steve Mera, you'll find him.
Just fine. Yeah,
for the everyday inquiry, which is the best one from your point of view? For people to contact
paranormal phenomena, probably the Map-It one, the mapit.kk5.org.
There you go.
There you go. There it is. And don't forget, you can join us on our website as well. We're at ukshadowseekers.co.uk. No, I'm not. Sorry. We're at shadowseekers.co.uk. And also, you've got the KTPF. So get involved. Come and join us. And hopefully we'll see you again next week with another topic. Watch this space, watch the site, get on there, and you'll see what the topic is for next week. And you can also add your questions as well if you don't want to give us a call.
Yep.
So that's it for
before
tonight.
you quick disappear, we've been getting some Ouija board action on the website, on the chat room.
Ouija board action?
Yes, they've been talking about Ouija boards.
Oh, go on then. Tell us what we got.
And actually, Shabba came up with a good idea there. Is if you have one person on the Ouija board and blindfold them, so they can't see where it's going, and somebody else can actually note down what's being done. That would kind of eliminate the
it's already been done.
The pushing job.
It's already been done.
And you probably got absolutely nothing.
Correct.
Well, anyway,
good idea though. He's thinking on my lines there.
We've actually had a few people on the chat room tonight talking amongst themselves and asking questions. And just to thank those individually, we've got Ben. He's from Preston Society. I think that's right, Ben, isn't it? We've got Dark Angel, who's from Norwich, and Ghost Rider 2873, and Nettie 74, who's also a Shadow Seeker.
Hi, Nettie.
Shabatar, who's also a trainee Shadow Seeker. We've also got Vinny as well, who's also our technical manager and co-founder of UK Shadow Seekers, just to name but a few. So thank you very much for joining us.
And Steve just got a new friend.
Yes.
My new friend.
And not forgetting Wendy, my sister, as well. So I'd just like to wish them both, Wendy and John, again, a happy anniversary, and hope to see you soon and speak to you soon as well.
Can I just say before you go that Nettie's just said there that she doesn't like Ouija boards.
She doesn't. She won't even touch them.
I think her sort of trademark is the laser thermometer.
Oh, yeah.
She's very good at that.
What do you mean, laser thermometer? I take it that's an in-joke between you and Nettie.
Hi, Neil.
Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Don't forget, we want you to come on and talk to us about your group. So, and let us know what you've done and what you haven't done. Don't be shy. I'm sure you wouldn't mind doing that. You can be on the show as well, and if you're local to Manchester, you can pop in and be live in the hub as well.
Nettie's blushing.
So
and even our Roxy's been on the chat room. Look.
Okay, so yeah, Roxy's been in the chat room as well. Bless her. Got 2 puppies downstairs as well that we're fostering for a while. So anyway, thank you very much to Neil Munnerley.
No problem.
Okay.
Anytime.
Might be next week. Yeah, mediumship. We'll be having him back on with mediumship. Yeah, you said you were going to do another part of that, aren't you? Something to do with children or something somebody was interested in?
Yeah, I've got depends on what. No, I'll talk about it after the show.
Okay, so he's got some stuff to talk about, so we can work that one out. Vinny says media has speeded up much quicker recently with Twitter and Facebook. News travels fast, like YouTube. I'm hoping it travels fast about our show, so please tell everybody. Dark Angel says she hates people that fake pictures and stuff and videos. Yeah. You're not the only one. Okay, and where else have we got? Let me just see. Just mention us something.
That means goodbye.
YouTube is full of fakes, said Dark Angel. What's a Scientologist view on the on the possessed? Hold on, I'm missing a few here because it's jumping up. 2 seconds. I'm trying to get everything in before we go. Do you use electronic shock techniques like beginning of Ghostbusters?
No, I think that was just his way to get off with the girl. Since he was lying.
Okay. First letter of his. Oh, what if you are an atheist? How do you feel about that? An atheist? I don't know. You're getting it better than me because you.
Yeah, they were a long time ago.
Were they? Okay. Oh yeah. What's the Scientologist view on the possessed? Now that's a religion I have no idea on. What would would approach this. Well, apparently, according to the Scientology at the moment, Tom Cruise is doing his bit. Did you not hear that on the Paranormal News? He's doing his bit, and he's doing a bit of stuff.
Religion,
yeah, definitely.
There's
more cult, really.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of dodginess going about it. And they are trying to make themselves an actual recognised religion in America officially, aren't they?
Yeah,
but it's I don't think it's going to happen too soon.
No, maybe we can get Ben on the show because I think he is from Preston Society, so maybe he could come on the show and give us his opinion on some stuff and what he's done and share his techniques. Yeah. Well, basically, I'm going to have to say that is it. And Vinny did say, how does Steve avoid Roxy jumping up on him and licking his face? There you go.
I love Foxy. In fact, the thing is, animals love me. I always had that thing. They just do. I want to take her home. She's good.
Right, well.
You should have seen Murdy when he got swamped by the puppies and all.
The puppies, yeah. Well, that's it, guys. We're going to go now. Thank you very much. And we'll see you all again soon. And remember, keep the paranormal friendly. Thank you very much. Good night and God bless.